Shalom and good day all. I hope you can hear me clearly. That's first things first. Hey, good to see you casting the shadows, and Darius Munchausen. I hope you can hear me clearly on your end. That's first things first, just so I don't need to fix up the sound in case I need to. And as I've got quite a bit to talk about and quite a bit to cover, that looks like good. Thank you there. And I'm not too sure, or I think I've already shared it with the two that are already in the chat, and thank you both for making it here. As I'd like to use this first episode of The Joker's Wild to sort of like go back on a bit of an old article I did a couple of years ago, especially on the Joker's Wild itself, and how relevant it still sort of is for today. Here's the article right here. I was hoping of having someone else here help me out with something I was wanting to with some links that I was actually wanting to share, not only in the text, but also in the share screen section. So seeing that I'm on my own, it makes it a little bit difficult unless you've got the invite link. Unless I send it through here, which I've got no problem with for this particular live stream. All right, it'll show up as the Restream one. So if any of you are able to make it in, there's the link. Because I'd like to use this opportunity to help those who might be outside of Australia know of some other places that you can actually go to, and in regards to getting some of your news. So seeing that this first article talks about mainstream media, I'd also like to use this opportunity to sort of give the audience a bit of an alternative to even Australian mainstream media. And I think that's important, especially in this day and age. Yes, exactly. Right on there, casting the shows, right on there. And I've actually found I've got a bit of a list myself. A number of these channels are some that I'm subscribed to. Some channels I actually came across recently, but you know what? It's always fun to find other channels that you can listen to get news, even in your own local community. That I find is, as Casting the Shadows brings up, is a plus as well. And there's quite a bit happening here in Australia right now, especially in the state that I'm in. And yes, this sort of does bring over the somewhat politics side of things. And trust me, I don't trust any side of politics. And I mean it. I do not trust any side of politics. And it can also fall along in regards to a lot of the mainstream media too, because of how easy that they can sell themselves out. So we'll move into the beginning of this article. And the article begins, the question is, and I've of course got a picture of the question there from DC Comics, because it's a bit of a DC based news website, but it doesn't have to cover DC, but it does sort of like address issues that are happening this day. Is mainstream media causing more harm than good? And moving on to the first part, yep, the only side we trust is that of logic, which is none, none of them. So we're essentially on our own as the only persons we can put the stock in ourselves, yes. And we also get to test everything as well that comes out to us in regards to the news or whatever else. How much of it is considered true? How much of it is false that they're putting out? Now, moving into the first part of the article is how toxic is mainstream media? Mainstream media, with all the big names in the industry, whether it be left or right wing, no matter how far they are to each political side of the spectrum, play a part in the influence upon a group of people, whether it is local, state, or even national news. And yes, no doubt, we do get these news media outlets giving news in regards to all three areas. Whether it's in the state, we get news about what's happening in the main state itself, things that are happening nationally. We can't forget that it will also include international news, like news that comes from overseas, even though it's not stated here in the article, but just putting it on a general level, yes, we do get news on a national level, but then there's also the local news, which would be like through the local newspapers. Then we also have things in the mainstream internet news media, which also falls, again, back to the same categories. And this is why I want to use this opportunity to also share links, such as, for example, the link to this article, which is going up now, to which you'll get to read through it yourself, even if you're new to this live stream. So it gives you an idea where I'm going with this. Another thing is both mainstream formats used in the media is to play on celebrity status as to who appears as their demigod, who displeases their demigod with whatever title they want to use. Now, this is just trying to point out that I'm sure you've heard of populism, and including other things that are used to sort of like, what's the word I'm looking for? To help raise up certain groups like they are actually I'm going to call them a false god to society. It's the only other way to put it. They are false gods to society. And with it, it does lead to some form of celebrity worship. And this is where I want to move into toxic celebrities. And even though this is quite old in regards to the article, I also brought in celebrities of interest. So who would have thought celebrities could be toxic as much as people who aren't in the celebrity position, yet willingly want to fight hand and foot to defend celebrity? And there are celebrities who also endorse fans to bad behavior against someone they don't like. Thing is, we've got this presently happening today in regards to a certain phantom virus, I'll say right now. It's the only way to put it. And also a phantom vaccine. of sorts. And in these celebrities, as well as politicians, are going out of their way to dehumanize people who go against their decisions. Such decisions are not meant to be made by them. It should be left to the individual. And we've seen in history that normally when people get in power to force things, do things against people's wills, a lot of bad shit happens. In Batman's case, a lot of bat shit happens, including with the Joker. And they don't like this because dumb reasons, and they are too lazy to speak to the person in person to discuss their differences of opinion, whether it be political, religious, or other topics that lead to an unhealthy discourse. Now, where have we seen a lot of an unhealthy discourse recently? One example could be seen as the cancel culture, censorship. A lot of these things could be brought up, plus many other things. Gamergate, Comicsgate, whether you're pro or against. It's up to you where you stand. It's not for me to tell you where to stand. So, some of the toxic celebrities of interest. Of course, I brought up Vox Day, as we know what he was. Some of us know what he was in relation to Mark Wade, Hillary and Bill Clinton, CNN, the BBC. Yes, I even included Fox News. And to those who are even watching the stream, the owner of Fox News is also connected to Sky News here in Australia. And I'll be able to get around to that as soon as I'll be able to move into sharing the links in the live stream to other choices that you can go to. And no doubt this one will come up, but it will be coming up as one that you may already recognize. Of course, we've got Al Jazeera, the Young Turks, Ryan Johnson, Chuck Wendig, Kathleen Kennedy, Richard Spencer, Lena Dunham, Lindsay Lohan, The Guardian, BuzzFeed, John De La Rose at one point, but I think his character has since changed since this article. So in that, it gives a slight update. Bleeding Cool, Asia Argenta, Movie Bob, Andrew Dobson, Sana Animat of Marvel, and of course Shedman. And I'd also like to thank some of the people who also helped me with this article. Switchpoint being one, who has his own website. Jaime from Roulette Productions, and also Quillsniv, who has his own website, has his own YouTube channel as well, but he also works with the Spider-Man Crawl Space YouTube channel too. So it's nice to give them a bit of shout out and credit where it belongs. Now, of course, there are a list of others that I was unable to place onto this list, as it would make it way too long. So I had to try to keep the list as short as possible. But still give the point across and show at least some balance in the article. So in other words, yes, there are those from the right that get brought up as toxic, but there are also some from the left as well. Then we've got the outlets used for this toxic behavior. Some of the outlets that are used for this promotion of this toxic behavior being number one. Well, it's not pointed as number one, but you get the idea. Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, WhatsApp. That's just to name some. Of course, we've got the mainstream media, news, and the internet sites that they use. When used to stir the public into a frenzy. Where do we see that today? I wonder. Almost satire in some part. Tumblr, of course. By use of these outlets and others not mentioned, the toxic behavior is basically encouraged by people or the mainstream groups above, setting neighbor against neighbor. Now, we know that when it's neighbor against neighbor, it's there to divide the public. And the last thing we want is a divided public. Sure, they can still have their own decisions, but they need to be able to have their decisions nonetheless. So, moving into the next part of the article, them harmful headlines and ridiculous trigger quotes. Oh, this one I had fun with. I'm sure you have watched or even read a report where it mentions some ridiculous quote to trigger your inner psyche or headline that you might have seen in the papers, whether online or fresh in your hands. Here are examples of both. Think of the children. I think in this present day and age, the children can think for themselves. Let's not forget this one. It's the Russians. Here's another good one. It's the Nazis. When Nazism has been dead for over 50 years, yes, even though there are people who call themselves neo-Nazis who believe in said agenda, but another problem is, like, especially in regards to those who what's that? Yeah, it's not just this day and age. Children could always think for themselves. Exactly, Cast in the Shadows. And children, well, no matter how old they are, yeah, in some cases are able to discern situations better than some of their parents, especially when a parent might not be so high on the IQ and the kid might have an IQ slightly higher than their parent. Not that it doesn't happen. There would probably be rare occasions, but where a parent would succeed in the area of the child is in their life experience. So that's where things start to balance out. And that child needs to learn from that parent's life experience. Another thing too, in regards to, say, the topic of neo-Nazis, a lot of the neo-Nazis you'll find is that they never really have direct roots. Sure, they might go to said document of said person who was considered a Nazi in the past, but they are not in direct mentorship by said Nazi. And if you look even a lot of, in regards to, say, for example, the children of the Nazis today, a lot of them are highly ashamed of what their parents did. And yeah, and they learn from the mistakes from their parents. Literally learn from the mistakes from their parents. And that links to, okay, sure, you might have this ideology, but if you can learn how dangerous that ideology has become, whether it's in minuscule to big movement, perhaps there's chance for you that you might be able to be rescued out of that. That's the key good entertainment for kids. By the way, never treat them as children. Agreed. That's the one thing that kids don't want, is to be treated as a child. And there is Munchausen, and I totally agree, 100%. Right on. Yep, they want to be treated like a fellow human being. They don't want to be treated as, you got to wear this now, or you got to do this now. No. Or you can, let's not forget the other one, racist, homophobic, transphobic. These two are sort of like used as trigger terms. Misandrous, patriarchy, matriarchy. SJWs are, right-wingers are. Just some examples. That's all they are, just some examples. And there are a list of other headlines and quotes used, and would make this list, again, too long for me to mention in the list. All right, now moving into this next part, because part is very important, because with how mainstream media is being used today, it does flood a lot of the censors. And the way mainstream media, through its outlet, it does the censors with the influence of toxic celebrities in this world and those who follow them like flies to a bug zapper. I hope you like the image I used there. Overwhelming to influence the thoughts of those to act out of character to how they may have reacted before. In other words, they might have been a well-behaved person before learning of such toxic celebrity and never got into any previous trouble. But once they started allowing said character or person to influence their lives, it changed or brought a change to who they were. A good solution to this is to go and enjoy some time with your family. Go enjoy some camping or fishing, amongst a myriad of other things that you could do. Turn the TV off, play a board game or some games. The list continues to excel out of the influence of the mainstream of media. In other words, do things to get away from the mainstream and don't let it be the key ruler of your life. All right, it's the last thing we need. Another bloody ruler or a dictator that wants to cause more harm to your life than any bloody good. So we leave things off with this concluding question before I start to move on to the first link of sources that I want to share with the audience here. Should you feel that mainstream media has caused any toxicity in your life, maybe it's just time to turn it off and enjoy what you do have. We do live our lives one day at a time, so make the most of it and don't let it go to waste. Well, time to move on to the first thing. And that is the first link that I've got prepared. And as this is happening, it's time for me to prepare it in here. All right. As I brought up before, we've got Sky Media as one of the first links that I have prepared for you, because with this link, it's something that I know that many of those overseas quite recognize. As I brought up too, is that with Sky News, they also have their connections to Fox News, which is in the US. And trust me, this is one site that also gets a lot of attack from the left. And I'm trying to keep this as balanced as possible with the links that I'm sharing or will be sharing. Yes, there are going to be some people who side to the left. Yes, there are going to be those who are considered centre or libertarian. Then there's got those who are conservative. So I tried to keep it as balanced as possible with as many links as possible. And one thing with Sky News, they do have like quite a fair amount of people on there. You do have those who are speaking up against a certain reset. Alan Jones is one person that some people like. Others don't like him. They have their reasons, and their reasons are valid to themselves and also to other people. But it's also nice to see that people do like said news. I wouldn't trust everything that comes from Sky News, but it is one thing that is commonly common to those who are overseas. And that's why I decided to bring this one up first, because of how many people that I've heard from overseas go to Sky News, yes, we do have some good speakers on it, but some other speakers I am personally a little bit unsure of. And that's personally from myself. So moving to my next one. The next channel. All right. And as that's loading up, I'll post its link into the chat because I've got quite a bit to cover. All right. This is someone in Australia. He's by the name of PDZ. I don't know how big his numbers are. He does somewhat lean quite left, but recently he's been a bit ticked off with a certain dictator in charge here in Australia. And yes, he also says that he's double vaxxed and whatever else. I don't really care about that. But he's someone else that you can actually go to which you can check out some of the things that are happening here in Australia. And he's also on the autism spectrum, like myself, but that's neither here or there. One thing he does actually like is DJing, and he'd actually like to become a bit of a famous DJ. And I hope he manages to reach that goal. So I thought that was definitely one choice to include. I'll now move on to the next one. And as the next one goes up, I will now post it into the chat. And this is the Institute of Public Affairs. Now, again, they do sort of like hold to a conservative stance. They do have some interesting guests as well as discussions. And they also talk quite a bit about some of the things that are happening in Australia, including some of the decisions that are being made here in Australia. They discuss politics. They discuss what's happening in the news. they've got quite a fair amount of what they discuss. They've been reading about the net zero emissions recently. And I'd like to see a net zero in government, please. That is my request, a net zero in government. Because, all right, I did share that in there, link free. Yeah, okay, link free has been shared. All right. Moving on to the next one. Another someone or somewhat conservative. I'll share that link there, as well as get the next link ready. And this is a group called Discernible. And it's run by someone who is Christian. I don't really care that they're Christian or not. But they have invited people onto their channel. In fact, one of their channel, one of the things that happened on their channel ended up hitting mainstream news. And that had to do with a police officer that ended up leaving the fold because of how they were actually treating Australians under the present conditions. And as you can see here, they've talked about the Victoria state of emergency. Now, this is a very big thing that's presently happening here in Australia, especially in the state that I'm living in, because this is going to give the Premier powers to which he could literally remove anyone and everybody that disagrees with him. So if you don't hear anything from my channel for a long time, this Premier could be the reason. I mean it. This Premier could be the reason. And this is why I'm covering it on the Joker's Wild. And they do discuss a lot of politics, but they also discuss like ethics and other things as well. Very well done show. I really enjoy it. All right, sorry about that. We had the doorbell be rung here. Okay, so we're up to link 4, moving on to link 5. So now on the issue of some of the politics that's happening here in Australia, and this is a somewhat independent, or one of the independents that are here in Australia. They of course have their own website as well as their own YouTube channel, and this is the UAP. And at the moment they are pushing as hard as they can to get many Australians' freedoms back. It's run by someone by the name of Clive Palmer. I'm not too sure if you've ever heard of him, but this is their page and their website. And of course, some of the videos, right, they really want to end the lockdowns here in Australia of all sorts. And yeah, I agree. We do need to put an end to it. And got some of the little shorts that they've got here, plus other things that they talk about in present politics. But they also do their best to inform the public with what is happening with some of the choices that are happening politically here in Australia. And that is why I decided to put this link in here. Trust me, the left hate him. The right hate him. So not only is he considered independent, but he is also considered someone who really gives a damn about what's happening to Australia. Others would also include someone like by the name of Bob Katter, but he's got his own particular party. I didn't manage to add his URL to the list, but I'm not even sure if Bob Katter has his own YouTube channel or not. If he does, maybe I might need to do an update on this particular first live stream. So moving to the next one. Now, I did mention that we had had a libertarian. And in comes the next one. And at the moment, this Australian is also working on a project here. And it's called Battlefield, and it is going to give you, okay, test 1 2, test 1 2. Oops, seems like one of the connections, we are trying to restore the connection. Okay, I hope I can be heard fine, and I hope you're still there. All right, this is Topher Field. He is a libertarian, but he also has his own channel. He also likes to smoke a good cigar. And he also has some that's called the Cigar Professors, which is like another website. But I was unable to include that. But if you look online, you should be able to find it. So this is him at one of the speeches that were against the lockdowns. Of course, some of his work that he's done, and some of his popular stuff. We've of course got a talk with someone by the name of Matt Lawson, who also had a channel, but I'm not too sure what has happened to his channel. I would have included it, but I think his channel might have been banned from YouTube because of the information that he was getting out. But he does use Instagram as well. Okay. See if there's a bit of a video here showing. There we go. Battleground Melbourne. Now, what I'll do is I'll copy that link address because I'd like to share that with the audience. All right, and that is connected to the Battleground Melbourne. It's a bit of a project that he has going right now, and he's using a website to sort of like get the funds to make this project happen. And by you having information about this project, you might be able to share it with other people too. He's hoping on getting the project up before the end of the year, which again will be really good because it's going to address a lot of the things that happened from the beginning of the lockdown to where we are hopefully to present. I don't know how. I think he's planning on doing a 90-minute documentary. You can double check that. So with Topher filled out of the way, now this is one person that you may have heard of recently. And that is the real Rukshan. Again, some people like this person, others don't. So, and that's just here in Australia. This is his YouTube channel. And yes, there's a little bit of controversy around him, especially in regards to his early stuff or his early tweets. But I think some people in Australia also think that some people don't change. But sometimes you need to leave the door open to change. And he also showed up on one of the US broadcasters. I think it was Fox News or something like that. And he was seen having a discussion there, and he was also talking about some of the things that were happening in regards to the lockdown. So we've still got quite a bit happening here. Again, some people like him, others don't here in Australia, but you're subject to your own opinion. So going to move into the next one. And this next one actually has two channels. Oh, hold on. And they are called Cafe Locked Out. Right, this is a bit of a new one that I found, and they're definitely worth checking out. They've actually had quite a number of guests on their channel, including doctors, nurses, and they've also got a bit of another channel too, which I will be sharing the link to that channel, which will probably be next. Now, this is only link 8 of, oh my goodness, about 37 links. So I'm still not finished yet. So going to move into the next link. Oh, it was just there, was I? Okay, I think I've gone to this. All right, I'll share it anyway. But this was meant to be another one of their URLs, but it looks like they've been hit again by YouTube wanting to censor them. All right, that's link 9. So I'll jump to the next one. All right, this is the next link. And again, someone somewhat considered conservative. But definitely wants to get the truth out. And that's link 10 for today. Oh my goodness, there's quite a bit to cover. And one thing with Morgan C. Jonas, as you can see, he quite regularly gets out videos at least once a day. And he's reporting on a lot of the stuff that is happening here in Victoria as well as around Australia. So definitely check Morgan C. Jonas out. Now, he is also married to someone who played a big part in regards to this next website or this next URL. And that is Reignite Democracy Australia. All right, this is another one that you can go to for news of what's happening here in Australia. It does cover a lot of things that are happening Australia-wide. It is independent. Even though they started off with having no intention of becoming like a political lobby, they ended up becoming some form of political lobby, to which the person, Monica, that you see there was also a political prisoner. All right, next one is Melbourne Ground. I don't know much about their political position, but they are a lot for getting as much truth out as possible in regards to what is happening here in Australia on the ground in Melbourne itself. So this is link 12. And we're already at the 55-minute mark. My goodness. My goodness. Like I said, I foresaw this sort of being a bit of a live stream, and this is where it would have been nice to have like someone else with me, but I'll still keep on going because I've got a lot to cover. And I don't know when this live stream is going to end because I've got so much to cover here. Like I said, 37 links overall, and it's going to take a while to go through each link. Now, one thing that this Melbourne Ground channel has been doing recently has been covering a lot in regards to the protests and the rallies against the present government of what is happening in Melbourne. They are independent. I'm not too sure where they stand politically, but I'm not worried about that. Because in Australia, we need the truth. And I mean We need the truth. Hey, good to see you, Sliverclaw. And it's really nice to see like quite a lot that is happening here of how they're covering the protests. There was even an event where the protests led to the Shrine of Remembrance. There's also been a number of things that have been happening around Victoria. All right, that is link 12. Now it's time to move to link 13. Or is that link 13 already? Just double check. Oh, no, that's link 13. Okay. All right. This is Melbourne Detective Media. Or Melbourne Detective. Again, yes, he's registered with the police. His views are his own on his channel, but he has been covering a lot in regards to what has been happening in regards to from the vaccines, plus a lot of other things. He's also been to a number of the protests here in Australia, asking for, wanting to get their freedoms back. And even he too, by his own channel, has sort of like seen how unfair things are happening here. And it's very important that in this day and age that we don't have censorship by any means. So going to prepare the next one and get that next link shared. Okay, this is another new one I came across, and I came across them through Cafe Locked Out. And if it wasn't for their channel, I wouldn't have found out about it. So if you want some more free independent news that you can go to here in Australia, I recommend subscribing to them. They did a bit of a live stream yesterday. And if you look at their numbers are a little bit lower than what mine are, but let's help them get over 200. Because we need news outlets like this. Here in Australia, especially something outside of the mainstream. And there's quite a bit here. They all come from different backgrounds in regards to their independent stance. I don't care what color they are. They also have interviews, like they Locked Out. And as you can see, there's a number of people that they also sort of work with, as well as what they review on the scene. This is not their only person that works with them. There are other people. But this is just one of the ones that is actually going out regularly to get out as much information as possible as to what is happening here in Australia. And they do try to keep it very balanced. Now, this next one, I'm sure you've already heard of, but I decided to include it anyway because we need something somewhat left-leaning. And Friendly Geordies is actually considered left-leaning here in Australia. And some people like him, others don't. So feel free to make up your mind of what you think of Friendly Geordies. And like I said, I want to try to keep this balanced, or at least as balanced as possible in regards to choices that you have out there overseas, whether you're in the USA, UK, wherever. You need these choices, and hopefully, well, time is the best judge of things. In regards to this, time is the best judge of things as to how things are going to go about here in Australia, because for all we know, even Friendly Geordies could disappear, of the way of how things are slowly pushing to another unwanted dictatorship. And that's the last thing we want here in Australia, a dictatorship, by any means possible. Ah, my goodness. So already up the link 15, close to the halfway mark. And I'm starting to run out of a little breath, which means I might want a little bit of a drink soon. Or just a small break. All right, moving into 16. Now, Gary Awesome. Interesting name. He also reports on sort of like the fake news that's coming from the left-hand side of politics. And you can see he's not afraid to address certain issues. And yes, as you can see, he's also had a bit of a run-in with Friendly Geordies. But this is also a fair choice that you can go to. He has some interesting news that you might want to check out, and it gives you something different, or it gives you, again, another different point of view. By what I know about Gary Awesome, he also has had a bit of a career in the music industry here in Australia, and that is how he's able to do his videos so much better than mine. And I mean so much better than mine. But I'm not worried about it. But at least he'll be able to interact with your comments, whatever else. He's got quite a fair amount of what he covers. Now, I'm not too sure if I covered bearing. Bearing, that's another Aussie channel too. So I'll move into this next channel for its shout out. And this is link 17. And this is Joel Jamal. Again, I don't care that he's Christian. I only care for the information. So the information is important. And as you can see, he's interviewed one of the Qantas pilots here in Australia that are against the jab. He's spoken about the topic of the legislation. He's also spoken to some officers that have resigned. He's also spoken to a pastor in Australia that's also speaking up against this. And I think that is great. I don't know how many other religious figures in Australia are also speaking up against the freedoms that are being taken away from the people. But no doubt this is one person that might spark your interest that you might want to go to. A big thanks to everyone who's presently made it here to the channel. This is, in fact, a bit of hard work on my part, but I personally hope you're enjoying every link that you're going to be able to subscribe to in this live stream of the channels that I'm shouting out, so you have more of a choice of what you are getting from Australia. And I think this is important, especially in this day and age. And this all links to the very first article that I posted at the beginning. And you should be able to go back through the chat and see that very first article. Linking to the Joker's Wild, to which is also linked to this particular stream. And thank you very much. I couldn't have done this without you. And for that, you are amazing subscribers. Now, another one, I'm not too sure where they stand through politically. And this is Carnage House Productions. This is the next one that I'll be sharing with you. Like I said, I'll be sharing ones with you that you probably do know, but as well as ones that you don't know. And I made sure to include some of the ones that you do know. And this is a link to their page. I've probably only watched maybe 5 of their videos. And of course, they've discussed quite a number of issues, from China to left-wing university politics. The list continues. They do get some interesting live streams, but they also address some of the things that are happening here. They address quite a lot of the things that are happening here in Australia. This next one, no doubt you will know. Now, I'm being honest here, there are some people that like here in Australia, others that don't. I'm a bit half, because yes, there is some content that he does get out that I enjoy, as well as some content that I don't so much enjoy. But you know what? Good for him for pushing to get the truth out. And this is what we need, like more people in Australia pushing to get the truth out of what is happening. And that is Avi Emini of Rebel News Australia. As you can see, he's covered quite a bit in regards to what's happening here in Australia. He's been to a number of protests, and it really is interesting to see the lengths that, say, for example, the Victoria Police have gone to in regards to basically silencing the critic. So I'll now jump to the next one. And I think this is another new one that has reached the eyes and ears of some of the people in the US. So, like I said, I would bring up people that you may have recently heard of, and that is the Aussie Cossack. He is of Russian descent. He is who he says he is. Yes, there are things that have happened to him where the government has sought to silence him, but he still pushes through in trying to get whatever content that he can get up. Some people seem to think it's fake. Hey, if you want to believe that, you believe that. It's not my choice to change your decision in that or not. Others seem to believe it's true, but this is definitely another that you can check out. As you can see, he's got more subscribers than me. I don't really care. I don't really give a crap. But you know what? Good job in getting the truth out, because we need more people getting the truth out. All right, moving into the next channel. Link 21. All right. Again, some people like him, others don't. And he also has more than one channel. But this is just one of his channels. And this is linked to something that he made a personal bet on. No joke, a personal bet on in a cup, or in a horse cup that we had last year. And sure enough, he ended up winning the bet. He has his share of live streams. I think he does more live streams, or a number of live streams, than what he does videos. And in that, he also has a share of people who are also from the US. He examines even some of the things that are happening overseas, like from events to whether they might be a shooting or whatever else, and he gives his personal view on whether it might be real or faked. So moving to the next one. Now, this is someone who speaks a bit on the, like, some of the laws as well as the Constitution. So does the next one that I'll be addressing. And this is Lundov. He highlights a number of video reports that go up through some of the mainstream, but he also gives his own thoughts. He is basically on team common sense here in Australia. And that's the only, I think that's the best way to bring that across about what I've learned about Lundov. I still need to watch more of his videos, but moving into someone here that sort of like follows in regards to the Constitution, or does a bit of research into the Australian Constitution, we have Osprey. Yes, he holds his own views. He does share some interesting links on his community channel. Or on his community. We've, of course, got some videos from Matt Lawson from when he shares his videos. Of course, his own personal talks on, say, Kevin Rudd, to those politicians, whoever else, have also violated things of the Constitution, to even human rights. So there is another choice and option for you. Moving on to link 24. True Arrow. All right, with True Arrow, they do seem to come off that they're Australian, and a lot of the videos seem to come off like they're in Australia, and I'm hoping that they are legit in Australia. As you can see here, they've also got a bit of an interview with someone who actually attended a protest.
I've got a son who's in grade 5 at a public school, and it's part of the curriculum that they discuss COVID and the benefits of getting the injection, and he had to write a persuasive text as to why he should be vaccinated. They're talking about it a lot.
For those two roughly 2 sessions a week. How long do they talk about it?
I would say probably, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 minutes of that class.
Do you know what subject that is?
There's a very big push to encourage children over 12 to get vaccinated.
Did you have to write a persuasive piece on why people should get vaccinated? Why youth should get vaccinated?
Yeah, I did. Did you write it? No, I didn't. I told Mike I would write it.
Right, and that's just from one of their videos of how they're trying to push things here in Australia. All right, I'll now move into the next channel. Again, another one. Right, another channel here that has also been following the freedom marches, whatever else that have been happening here in Australia. That's the link right there, and I hope you enjoy checking it out. They again seem to be pro-truth. They are presently at 111 subscribers. Let's help build that number up for them. And as you can see here, they've followed things in regards to marches, protests, of course, interactions with how the police have been acting against Australians and against Victorians and also Melburnians. A lot of their videos are quite short, so if you want something short and sweet to check out, go check it out. Now, this next one, I do actually watch quite a bit. They have a BitChute channel. They also know and also update the public of what is happening, say, law and otherwise, and that is a rights group here in Australia. Worth checking out. Their information is definitely valuable. They have been hit by a number of things in regards to YouTube, because YouTube don't like them talking about certain subjects which they want to censor them on. And this is why this broadcast is uncensored. Absolutely crazy, isn't it? All right, moving to the next channel. And no doubt they are a pro-freedom channel. Moving into the next link, which is link 27. My goodness, 10 away from reaching the end of the list. All right, and this is Deb from Ground Zero. Again, a lot of short clips. They are from Australia, and they're just throwing in some short clips of how things have actually turned out here in Melbourne, Australia. And yeah, you should see some of these places. Some of them are friggin' bare as. It's sad. It's disgusting of what's happened here. It really is. And I must admit, it's crazy. This is just a list of the things that have happened over the last 6 months that they've got up here. And my goodness, it just never ends. So, next channel, link 28. I'll now get that ready to share in the text. And this is Danger Dan. Hey, you want something with a slightly comedic side? And coming from a stranger? Check out Danger Dan. I'm in it. Check out Danger Dan. They've got quite a number of videos. Of course, having some satire fun. In regards to some of the things that are happening here in Australia. Time to move to the next one. Link 29. Almost at the end here. So I hope you're enjoying this live stream. And now it's time to get that link shared out for this one. And this is Advance Australia, of course, something that's very pro-Australia. Numbers are under 1,000. It's probably been about 3 weeks since they last shared something. And this is just some of the videos that they shared. They're talking about the Invasion Day plane from some of the conferences that have been happening in Australia, not just in Victoria itself, but also in other states. So it gives you a little bit more option. Moving on to link 30. All right, this is another Libertarian. Channel called the Aussie Liberty Network. Here we go. I forgot to post the right one. That's my error. That's my fault. So moving into link 31. And they are basically young libertarians that are discussing some of the events and things that are happening here today, from things happening in Parliament to the protests that, yes, they even talk about some of the worldwide protests. All right, this is someone that's sort of like, again, some of the stuff that's happening here in Australia, especially via the police, especially their corruption. This is their big thing. They are sort of like against the corruption that is happening here in Australia. And this is their channel, None Your Business. And they have gone around to like some of the sites from, of course, they're addressing things like Dan Andrews, what he's pushing for, the things that have been happening here. They have even gone to websites They've also worked with other channels such as Auditing Australia, Zorba Dundee. That's like another Aussie channel here that follows some of the stuff that's happening here. One a certain inspector. Of course, they cover some things happening in other states. So quite a bit happening there. Almost at the end of this list, to be honest. I thought this live stream was actually going to go longer than expected. It looks like it's going a little bit shorter than expected. But it's nice to have something to provide different choices for people over in the US and overseas to have, to which they can see for themselves of what is happening here in Australia. This is link number 32. And this is Auditing Australia. Of course, you can see here that they've also gone to lockdown protests, a couple of other things, had experiences with the officers here in Australia. In other words, they're there to try to keep the police officers in line and not get away with any cruelty to the public. Now, I think I included the Zorba Dundee one. I'm not too sure if that's it. Ah, yes. This is another one. Marty Fokker. Again, some people in Australia like him, others don't. But he has a good channel to which you'll want to follow. He has, of course, reported on the protests, including something that happened with the CMF MEU, which happened over a month ago. Even to how the Australian police have been used as basically the arm of Dan Andrews. And my goodness, it has been incredible. Now, I'm not too sure where he stands politically. I don't really care. But you can see that he is definitely for freedom. He's very pro-freedom. Okay. You might have heard of this group over in the US, but you might not know of this branch of this group here in Australia. And they are a group called We Are Change. So here is a link and URL to We Are Change Melbourne. And they report quite a bit of news of what is happening here, mainly in Melbourne. Of course, they do a number of interviews. They have a list of guests. Of course, they do some drive-in talks like some over in the US also do. They even speak with like We Are Change over plus a couple of others. They've been going for quite a while, but they have had some really good videos go up that I have enjoyed, and you might enjoy them too. Moving to the next channel. And I'll get that link ready to be posted in the chat link. Oh, two more. Hey, I'm sure that there are people who enjoy a bit of a comedian. Here's Isaac Butterfield. And yeah, he is against political correctness. But he also likes to have a bit of a laugh too. I guess in some instance he somewhat considers himself almost like a Dave Chappelle of sorts. If you like Dave Chappelle, you might like Isaac Butterfield. Of course, he's talked on issues of the patriarchy, Superman joining the LGBT community. Something you wouldn't quite expect, but yeah, he talks about it. To even crazy people overseas who like to eat, yeah, raw balls, I'll just say. Raw balls, testicles. And also talking about how Americans react to Australian food. So he likes to get a bit of a laugh. Not only a bit of a laugh at himself, but a bit of a laugh at things that happen overseas. So you might enjoy that channel. Yeah, he's got more than me, but I don't really care. I just thought I'd include him in the shout out. So in comes the next one, to which I'll get that next link prepared. Now, these are for those who might be religious minded. They are somewhat a conservative group. And that is the ACL here in Australia. And of course, they do speak of things from feminism to Christianity to left-wing Christianity. Quite a list of things. So he sort of gives you a bit of a rough idea of what things are somewhat here religiously here in Australia. I think there are other channels outside of this. If you might be of another faith, I'm sorry, but I was only trying to find as much as possible in this short time. But I did manage to find one channel which is also a Jewish channel. And I've also spoken to this person even through Facebook. Her name is called Shosh or Shoshana. She too speaks her own mind. She's very Torah centered. And this is the last URL that I have for the audience. And my goodness, I was hoping this live stream would have gone a little bit longer. But you know what? Thank you to all who made it to this live stream. I hope you are able to get something out of these links. And I mean all 37 of them. Including the main link. So, starting off with the first one, which was Sky News Australia. Then the next. All right, just showing these links again so you can remember them. Real Rukshan. Cafe Locked Out, to which they've got a couple of links themselves. Morgan C. Jonas, Reignite Democracy, Melbourne Ground. Others that sort of like need to fix up their channel names, but these are still the links that you can go to. Gary Awesome, The Friendly Geordies, Carnage House Productions, Avi Yemeni, Aussie Cossack. Again, like I said earlier, some people in Australia like them, others don't. Lundov. And hey, you might find some that might be your favorites that you'll come to enjoy. Link 25. Know Your Rights group, very handy here in Australia, and lets you know what's happening here. Definitely check out their BitChute channel. They do have one. And as we start to move towards the end, link 31. And that is all of them. Well, apart from that, I hope everyone that is still here is enjoying the channel. I'm going to stop sharing that. I hope you managed to find a website, or should I say YouTube channel or two, that might have grabbed your interest, to which you can get more news of what is happening here in Australia. I really hope you get to enjoy hearing the news from those channels, no matter where you stand, even politically. And this has been quite, and I mean, quite a busy live stream. Thank you to all of those who made it. You helped make this live stream possible today. I never thought I'd end up with having so many people viewing the channel on this topic, and including the topic to which it was originally censored, to which we were dealing about the toxicity of mainstream media. And there are some options for you to check out personally for yourself of what is here in Australia. No doubt there are more than that. I'm sure that when you even go to their channels, you might even find other Australian channels that I might not even know about. And you could even suggest and recommend for me to check out. So thank you so much to all who made it. I was hoping this live stream would have gone for a couple of hours. But as soon I can see that we're reaching the 2-hour mark. So whoever is here, please let me know in the chat section. It would be nice to know. I did see Sliverclaw earlier. I'm not too sure if Cast in the Shadows is still here. Of course, a big thanks to Darius, who made it here earlier, and Cast in the Shadows. Well, until then, this is the Super Sons who came to the rescue for this Joker's Wild of uncensored offensive language that might upset a certain group of people. I hope you have yourselves an awesome day, and I'll see you again for another Joker's Wild uncensored, because offensive language doesn't care about what you think about your feelings broadcast. I do have an upcoming live stream this week on Sunday. So if any of you would like to even join the live stream, please let me know, whether it's on Twitter, or even if you do happen to turn up on the live stream. I'm having another subscriber catch-up live stream on this Sunday, which would probably be your Saturday. Do stay tuned for it. I'm not too sure when my next Joker's World live stream will be, because I might actually cover another article from the website, but I'm not too sure which article I'll cover yet. But I did feel that article was very relevant for today of what was happening. No problems, Michael Brent, and also happy that you're able to make it, whether you might be early or late. But definitely enjoy what you are watching on Netflix, no doubt about it. As for right now, I did want to try to get Darius or maybe someone else to join the live stream. But seeing that they're unable to make it, I'm not overly worried about it. There's always a next live stream. Am I late? You were getting ready to shut down. Yeah, I am actually. Squid Game. And what are your thoughts on Squid Game, Darius? What are your thoughts on the Squid Game? We've returned. Sorry, we were listening but busy writing. No problems. No problems, Cast in the shadows. Hey, main thing is that you're still here. Now, would any of you like to join the live stream to talk about maybe some of the choices that I suggested that you could go and check out? Because I'll put that invitation out before I do in the live stream. Sorry to heal him. I feel like a... Now, that's uncensored. No problem, Darius. You make sure you get whatever rest you need. It's totally understandable. Ooh. Or Persona 5 anime. Did you watch Sword Art Online on Netflix? Or none of them at the moment. I have thought about maybe seeing the Persona 5, but that Hyperdimensional Neptunia, no. But I think the Rainbow Press and Comics would probably be the better place to talk about it. But this is sort of like talking about things outside of my normal realm of things on my channel. And here we've like been addressing like some personal issues that are sort of like presently happening today, sort of like political wise, to also offering choices of other YouTube channels that you can go to get news of what's happening here in Australia. And you'll see that in the links past, to which I shared before. And my goodness, I was also hoping of getting some advice to heal them. All the video and article links in the chat, you should copy and paste and pin into the section for the viewers of this rerun. Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea at all. So thanks for that, Cast in the Shadows. I will take that advice on board. Squid Game is great. So far, I've seen 1 to 4. The cinematography is great. Characters are well developed. Shitty people, but games are creative. Well, I did share the links to go up on the video. via Restream. And you will see that here. And it does show all of the links in the section. But yeah, I will take that in for some future advice. I was actually thinking of posting it in the video description, but I thought with all the links that I've got there, it might be too long. What's the word? But that's not to say that I can include these links after the video. Maybe I could even post it in the comments section and pin it there. So that's another option that I could probably do. Oh, what's up, people? I brought bad luck and emus. Well, you're also a little bit late because we're actually towards the end. But I've been talking about some options to which people overseas can go to in regards to for other Australian content that you can go to. Good question, Michael Brent, but that might be better in, say, in one of the Rainbow Press and Comics broadcasts. Even though I do talk about some things in regards to, say, the anime, manga industry as well. Yep, a good hello to Michael Brent. He is actually a bit of a regular when it comes to the channel. And thank you very much for every time that you have managed to make it to the channel. We need wonderful subscribers like you. I've never played any of the Kingdom Hearts games, but I have actually played a couple of the Final Fantasy games. Final Fantasy 15 was sort of like the first one that got me into Final Fantasy games. Even though there are some people who like it, others that don't. And that's fine. You like and enjoy what you want to like and enjoy. I'm not going to stop you from doing that. My goodness. Now, with that finished, I think I will definitely work on sharing the links to all of those oh my goodness, all of those other choices of Australian YouTube channels that also report on news here in Australia, so you can get sort of like news outside of Sky News, for example. And even though I did bring up Sky News and also RVMNE and also Friendly Geordies, like some that you already know, I decided to include those in the list. At least you will have more of a choice of what you can actually go check. And I think what I might do is I'll include it in a pinned comment after this live stream. So when the live stream is over, you can go to that pinned comment, see the list that I included in this video. And thanks once again to Casting the Shadows idea here. I'll definitely remember that. And that's why it's nice to have, well, here we go.
Good. Sorry, I had to mute you, otherwise I was going to hear double.
Good to see you casting the shadows.
I mean, I can see me, and yeah, they can see me too.
I hope you enjoyed the live stream and also the links that I got to share.
Yep.
There's quite a big list, I must admit.
Oh yeah. Well, at least thankfully, unlike a chat or something, comments you can kind of just write an entire essay in. Yeah, there's no
Yes.
limit.
And I've got no problems if anyone wants to do that in my comment section.
Yeah. Also, you can only do one pinned comment. And Darius did mention you can do this for the video description, but there is a character limit in the video description. So
yes, and that is something that I thought it might be a bit of an issue for, especially in regards to the character limit.
Yeah,
and that's
I run into the.
Yeah, so I'll definitely use the idea of the comment section, as I feel that it would probably work for the links that I included. As I had no idea if it was going to fit all of the links in the description. So,
well, you can also do because obviously this is it's relevant for the show, but you can use the description for links that are more like specific to your stuff. Like, oh, here's link to merch store or whatever else links that you have for your various facets of the internet. But I know that I use the description for sources, like where all of our news stuff is on my channel, and often we end up using up all the character space. So I just used the comment section to kind of like put whatever we could fit in the description. Like, crap. Okay.
That is totally understandable. And it's actually nice to hear like some of these ideas, because even though I know what I had planned for doing this first one, I wasn't too sure how I was going to go about sort of like getting the links out, because I had so many links to share, and yeah, it can get a bit lengthy. And I'm actually surprised that the live stream went as long as it actually did. And mainly by myself and whoever else turned up in the chat section. Thank you very much. I couldn't have done this without any of you. I did have a lot to cover, but at least now. What was that?
You did a really good job, though. So
thank you for that. I was hoping that also Wes Moody might have been able to join us, because it would have been nice to have him to talk about, especially the first thing that we were talking about in the beginning, and that was linking to, what was it? Yeah, that was linking to the first article that we addressed in this. All right, okay, got the link. I'll repost it again for everyone to see, and I'll get the article up here so I can again share it once again. And it's on the topic of how toxic is mainstream media. All right, can't forget to share it. All right, this was the topic we were talking, or I was talking about earlier. There's also the link so you can personally check it out too. So anyone else that might be a little bit late. And of course, I went through this, and I wanted to use this as the jumping point to share all of the links that you got to see today. So and of course, leading on an end, on a bit of a concluding question, if you feel mainstream media is a little bit toxic to your health, take a bit of a break and check out something else for a while, or do something else. Hey, you can even do something great. Switch the TV off for 7 days. See what happens.
I mean, I literally at least 25 hours a week. I'm not using any electronic device, so
Yeah.
it's. And even when I am using something, I'm always like consciously aware, like, okay, I gotta take a break, whatever. Just because, first off, I personally just cannot sit still for extended periods of time. Like I gotta move around. I gotta get the blood flowing. I gotta like do something physically active.
Yeah.
Because, and it's not just like a few. It's not just the use it or lose it type thing. Just in general, like I personally have never been able to sit still. It bothered the hell out of teachers when I was a young lad once. But I don't know, just that, and then you have the fact that sometimes like you're doing stuff on video editing or whatever, and you see all this news that's out there, and it's kind of just like, I need a break from all this crap too. Like I need to go do something else.
Yeah.
And then you have the fact that human beings are not meant to just sit in one place staring at one screen for hours on end.
Yeah, I must admit, with a lot of the crazy lockdowns we've had here in Australia, I have lost a lot of like personal one-on-one contact with area or places that I used to go to, and you won't believe how much it's pissed me off. A lot. I know
like
I'm
that's
pissed off, but yeah, it's pissed me off a lot.
yeah.
And then there's what mainstream news is trying to like shove down your throat. Oh, go get this, go get that. I'm sick of this. Fuck off.
It's horrible here.
Yeah,
I mean,
I mean,
it's horrible, and I know it's horrible there too in Australia. I guess it's different types of horrible, right?
Yeah.
Equal but different.
Yeah.
But
Like,
it's you can't do anything without the vaccine and all that, and there's no exemption rule. Like if you're religious, you have a religious exemption for everything else except this.
Yeah.
Because they didn't think either they purposely didn't think it through, or they just didn't plan for that. Regardless, the result is you can't get a religious exemption or a medical exemption for that matter.
Yep.
And many people, like physically or religiously, cannot get the vaccine. It's against their beliefs, or it's just going to cause more problems for them medically. So you're essentially saying what? Those people are screwed?
Exactly, and
because life handed them a different.
That's the last thing we need here in Australia, and that last video I shared at the end is someone I've personally spoken to via Facebook. Lovely lady. She's a Jewess, and I enjoy her content. She's also got like a number of videos that she also shares on her page. And she too is not blind to what's happening here, and she has even been out in protests or marches against, say, the mandatory vax and whatever else, and it's sad to see things go the way that they're going right now. With the latest powers this premier wants to push in, you might not see me around, let alone my channel. Right, this is some of the crazy stuff that he wants to push in. By what we know, he wants to push in. In other words, it would be full censorship of anything that could be coming from Victoria to police can go in, take everything. We are seeing full dictatorial powers come into play. And we don't even know how things are going to go sort of like parliament-wise, because of how crazy it is. Hey, good to see you, Maranya. And thank you. I'll do my best to stay as strong as I can here. And this is why I sort of like wanted to use the Joker's Wild so I could talk about some of these political issues that are happening here in Australia as well as
Right.
around the world as well. So,
I mean, that's the thing. I remember I think I covered this a few months back when the story broke originally, and that was the White House in the United States. The White House is working with big tech, Google and Twitter and Facebook and all what have you. They're working together to censor any misinformation about the COVID-19 vaccine, which is pretty much anything that isn't from them directly.
Mm-hmm.
So,
even when it comes to their own sources, then contradicting what they said. So, in other words, also protecting, or should I say, censoring the information that also contradicts what they've already said about the vax. And again, that stuff should not be happening, and that goes for anywhere in the world, including Australia. So
you guys have always had a censorship issue, though, haven't you?
In Australia, maybe there's a fair amount. I mean, the TV show, game show, which actually had a scandal where this one guy kept winning because he stayed at home and memorized the screens.
I know that most of what I know of Australia.
Thank you for bringing it up anyway.
Most of what I know of Australia is usually through the gaming stuff, and I know they're very strict with the censorship stuff regarding games over there.
Yeah.
I remember when Cyberpunk got greenlit.
Yeah, that is something that
for Australia, everyone was like,
to it. Yeah, that is something that does actually have a lot of truth to it. In regards to the video games, I remember some of the bills that they were wanting to bring through, and yeah, there was some in the religious community that was sort of against it. I sort of got to have a bit of a look at it as well, and I think the key thing that those in the religious community failed to understand is that they were actually wanting to make the rating system work better. And here you've got this group of people saying, oh, we don't need this to happen. And not only that, with the rating system, because in Australia, we, just like the US, have our own rating system. You know what? That might also be a good idea for an article to address on the Joker's Wild itself. Okay. That's what I'm after. Here we go, the rating classification system. All right. We also have our own, like any other nation. All right, we'll get rid of that one. And I'll get the one in relation to the classification. All right, this is pretty much connected to how the system works and its ratings. Of course, what they were wanting to use was somehow use this classification system to work better. Oh, hold on, I better remember something. They were planning on using this classification system to work better with the video games. And of course, you had the religious, or some of the religious groups that were against the idea. And it's sort of like, don't you bloody understand what this is about, right? This is like stopping say for example, underage people getting hold or access to video games, which they might, or those video games might be a little bit more mature towards the adult rating. So in other words, that they would require a parent to come with them to get said video game, so that they, in other words, have parental guidance. And you just had this group up in all, and they were up against it, and it's sort of like, you idiots, you just don't understand. Not unless you've been in the gaming community, or at least played some form of video game to which you understand which this rating works. And it was just crazy. It took ages for it to go through. Of course, we've got our little sections, what's okay for children. Do we have... There we go. Here we go. What's for general audience? In other words, what anyone can watch, to what requires parental guidance. Mature, which is 15 and over here. Then you've got the older stuff, which mature still somewhat requires an adult. Then there's restricted, got to be 18 and over to access it, and then whatever else. This is normally used to check the classification. It can be used quite a bit here in regards to, for example, upcoming video games as well as upcoming movies. It's used quite a lot here because sometimes the public haven't had the chance to view the movie which will be coming out, to which they'd be able to set the rating for the video or movie which might be coming out to the cinema, so that they can make sure it goes to the right crowd. Then, of course, there's the additional, like there's unrestricted to restricted, and their additional classifications. And on top of that, I will share that in the text as well. So those overseas get a bit of a rough idea what it's like here. Hey, good to see you, Tevye. Glad you're able to make it. I'm actually towards the end of the live stream, but I've got it open in case anyone would like to join and talk about some of the topics, or even some of the YouTube links that I shared, as well as maybe even any ideas. And a big thanks to Cast in the Shadows, who actually managed to jump into the live stream.
Hello. Yeah, I'm looking at your...
suggest an idea which would probably work for me if I did something like this again next time. So I'll remember that.
I'm looking at your rating system right now, or rather the Australian rating system, and it's just making me remember that the rating system across the entire world is just completely useless, because you have games that have digital casinos in them and they're rated E for everyone, or the Australian equivalent being rated G.
Exactly.
I don't know what it is in Australia, but in the US, depending on the state, you have to be anywhere from 18 to 21 to gamble.
Yep.
Like some casinos only let you in.
Yep. For Australia, it's 18 and over.
Right, because drinking is 18 as well.
Yeah, so... And that's seen in a lot of states, including the Australian main capital territory. As for videos and that's pretty much how it runs. Gone are the days where people used to drop into their own video or DVD store and hire DVDs or even Blu-ray.
And then you had the infamous red curtain.
Yes.
Every single store had one. It may have varied in
Yeah.
color, but there was always a curtain or a door that was colored, and behind that door or curtain was where all the adult films were.
Yes.
Except for one store I was in. They didn't have it paraded about normally. What they had is they had the adult films, the CDs, in like Disney movie cases on the shelf. And the only reason I found out about that is because a friend of mine was with me, and he picked off one of the CDs for something. I don't even remember what movie it was, but he picked it up, and he opens it like to check, right? And he's like, "Wait a minute, what the hell is it?" Like he reads some adult film title. I'm like, I don't like that is not what you're looking for.
So what are we talking about?
Shalom and good day to you, Tevye Smoker.
Good to see you guys.
Nice to see you. I hope you're well.
Mm-hmm. So what's going on?
Well, I shared a link earlier in the live stream, and we were addressing the issue of sort of like the question: is mainstream media toxic?
Oh,
They're definitely not
that.
helpful.
Like how toxic is mainstream media? And from that, I also use this as a bit of an opportunity to share some YouTube channels that I know on YouTube, many that are connected to Australia, to provide more option to people like yourself that are overseas that you can check out yourself.
Okay.
Some places you might already know of, but you're also going to have like other options of maybe channels that you haven't even heard of.
Okay.
Some channels are low in number, where others a little bit higher in number, sort of like some over 1K, others under 1K. It's nice to hear their thoughts. I tried to bring in a bit of a balance, or well, the best way I could balance it out as I could. So we've got some with libertarians, some with slightly left-wing views, other are sort of like very pro-freedom, to which I don't know where they might hold to politically. I don't.
Basically, political channels falling together.
Yeah, so
I tend to avoid something like this because it's very toxic, political, and how can I say this? Oh yeah, fucking nuts and very, very insanity. Like you talk about, I talk about that much, so I can't get you with that much. Sorry.
Well, I mean, political debates, both the actual like political debates between two candidates, as well as just modern political debates between just two regular people. It's not really a debate at this point. It's pretty much just one person throwing verbal crap at the other like two deranged monkeys. It's not even a freaking debate. There's no intelligence.
At this point, the system is broken to the point I just can't do it anymore. That's why we talk about this, because it's not fun. It's toxic, sad, depressing, and it's really messed up. That's why I don't talk about it. It's insane.
Yeah, it's just all, it's too nihilistic.
Yeah, that too.
So in layman's terms, as we all notice, it's just become a shit fleeing contest.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly
the media. And the people are sick of the shit fleeing contest, being as blunt, as uncensored as possible.
Yep.
The people, or a number of people, are in fact over it.
Yep.
We don't want to see this crap no more.
Yes, but we're not the vocal minority.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yep.
And like, whatever happened to the general discussion, general discourse, to which you could interact with someone else. Yeah, their views might be different than yours, but you still don't act like a fucking idiot. Don't go crazy.
Well,
Cancel
speaking of
them because
idiots,
they
this
have
happened. I mean, you can see that well.
Yeah.
I can see a bit.
I can somewhat see it.
Speculates
unless
Marvel,
someone-
DC, something.
Hang
Yeah.
on. You know what? I'll try screen share instead.
All right. Let's
It
see
looked
the
like
screen
a
share.
Bounding into Comics article.
All right, here we go. It's on YouTube.
It's fun to and she
There it is.
That's the thing.
Up top there.
Commercials. No.
So freaking annoying commercials.
Oh, on Ethan Van Sciver.
Yeah.
You make guys pick my mom this year being funny about going to put the radical gender secretary. What? Oh, that's so fucking stupid.
I can't. I don't know about DC, but Disney is definitely getting some government kickbacks.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's that. I don't want to say like it's old news, like everyone should have known about it.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't give a damn.
But
What?
Disney's been getting government money for a while. Unfortunately.
That's not surprising to me, but
No, it's not a surprise at all.
Fuck that.
It's unfortunate, but it's not surprising.
Yeah. Plus,
Yeah,
what Disney did feel like they move on to concentration camps.
Yep.
Yeah,
That
whatever
can't
happened
be
to
that true.
whatever happened to Never Again, right?
Exactly. that term alone was meant to mirror throughout history. Like, we know for a fact, yes, there was the Armenian as well as the Jewish Holocaust. Both of them never again should ever happen again.
Come on, China, it still happens. What the fuck?
And then there's also Jews who speak up about the Armenian Holocaust, others that are actually pushed down in the community for speaking up against it, which should not happen at all. Like, you're free to believe what you want. Yes, I've even met idiots that believe that, Jews were responsible for what happened in the Armenian Holocaust.
Fuck off.
No.
They can fuck off, or I care.
They're not going to throw the blame on them. They're not always responsible for everything that happens. And I know it links to a certain religion in the Middle East that is also responsible for a lot of bloodshed.
Wait a second, Popo.
And no religion is also free of bloodshed too, which is also a very fair point. Like, there have been a number of religions, even throughout history, that have caused harm to other people. Darius Munchausen brings up, and if you disagree with this propaganda, they'll fact check you.
Yeah, I mean, they're essentially they publicly humiliate you and shame you to the point where you essentially they destroy your life without actually taking your life.
Yes.
Nope. Again, never again.
Which is why I use the term non-citizen, which is
exactly
a variation of the term non-person from George Orwell's 1984.
Yes.
Again,
and,
like I said, I don't cover this stuff. It's very dark subject matter and very creepy, very fucked up, and let's talk about the better. Anyway, as for good news instead of negative news, we did get some good news though. We're doing by us a fifth sequel, so yay!
Oh, that's good. Did you enjoy the movie at least?
I liked it.
I haven't had the time to do your review yet, so I'll happily ask you now.
Yeah. I liked it, but I thought it was very confusing. So I'm still very excited part 2. Can wait until part 2 comes out. So I can't wait to see after part 2 comes out. It's on 2023, so 2 years from now. So we'll see how it turns out. If we're still living and we don't destroy the world. So we'll see.
Yeah, if there's still a world in which we can watch it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I haven't been following the film that closely, but I heard that they're making it was a part 1. They're making a part 2.
Yep.
But I don't remember them saying it was a part 1 until after it released. Did they say it was a part 1, like advertised it as such?
No, advertising did not say that at all.
Yeah, that's it's like because so essentially people are going to be going into this film going, "Hey, wait, why does it just end? Where's the rest of the film?"
Well,
that way?
you guys show actually part 1 and the opening sequence, but you know what? I won't spoil it for you.
Okay, so the opening of the film does say part 1. That's good. Then.
Yes.
As long as they
At
say
least
before you get cozy in the seat that hey, this is part 1 of 2 or 7, even like you know what you're getting into is my point. Because otherwise, that's not good advertising.
Agreed. And we need more better advertising like that.
You mean non-false advertising?
Yes.
That is doing for advertising. It said Dune and no, and they probably said it part 1 a long time ago. But you remember, this thing is gigantic. Trying to adapt that book into one movie is impossible. So fuck it. Split it into 2 parts. Problem solved.
I'm all for doing it in 2 parts and stuff. It means you can actually be a better adaptation. I'm just because again, I haven't been following the film that closely. I was just curious if they actually advertised it as part 1 of 2 as opposed to just here's the movie. And here's the sequel that has the rest of the film.
Yeah, not only that, but I think with the sequel they could use it to take a little bit longer. Plus, it would give the actors that are in the film a good fair amount of time to get comfortable with their roles and their lines. So by the time that it's now time for go, they're going to be as comfortable as doing their lines that it will come off so well that it might come off like more natural than what they did in the first film. And you'll see the improvement not only in the actors, but also in the story too.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that I also address in The Joker's Wild, you'd be surprised, it's Brian Michael Bendis.
That's good.
That guy.
Oy vey.
Oy vey, indeed.
Same way with our boy John. The same way with eat him up for crap. And the same way with Super Son and so after all other characters.
Oh yeah.
My right, like honestly, I didn't even get that far with him. I loved Ultimate Spider-Man, and I thought, okay, this guy's a good writer. And then I read some of his 2006 Avengers run. He did like the main Civil War and post Civil War Avengers stuff, and it's crap. Like it's good ideas, but horrible execution. And I'm like, is this the same guy that did Ultimate Spider-Man? And then I remembered, oh right, Ultimate Spider-Man was also being done by a at the time 9-year Spidey vet. That Mark Bagley was doing Spider-Man for 9 years at that point. He's the artist for Amazing Spider-Man. Yeah, he was doing Amazing Spider-Man titles since 1991. I think.
Yeah, so the year I was born. Crap, I'm old.
So.
Well, whilst we're here, I might also put out the invitation, like seeing that this is a bit of a first live stream for the Joker's Wild, an invitation to my Discord.
Nice.
But it's only going to last about 24 hours because it is a bit of a private Discord. Now, this is for anyone who might want to be interested in joining. That includes yourself, Cast in the Shadows.
Cool.
Anyone who happens to watch this live stream. So this will probably happen every time I might have a Joker's Wild live stream, to which I'll put this invitation out. So I'm not too sure when my next episode will be. So hopefully I'll be able to kick it off soon. We'll just see how well this one goes as well. Big thanks to everyone who managed to make it and to support me here in the beginning. I really did not expect the live stream to go as long as it did.
Yeah.
But there were in fact a lot to cover, a lot of links, and I did make sure to share that with the audience. And I didn't know how long it was going to take for it to get across. And yeah, it took its time, and it also took its toll on me. And I think I'm going to have to go and enjoy a nice lunch after this too. A very filling lunch. Oh, golly God. So that's the invitation. So I know Darius is there. I managed to invite Brightest Day in. So Tevye Smolker's already there.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And now Cast in the Shadows is.
Yep.
And I will... There you go. Now included.
Yep.
And that gives you quite a bit of freedoms there. I don't mind if you were to invite other people into the channel, if they might be interested. We talk about a myriad of things. I've got like a share your wares section. I wonder if I'll be able to share that window. There we go. All right, this is for Rainbow Press Comics, Joker's World, and Super Sun's Fortress of Attitude. It gives you a bit of an idea of some of the things I talk about. This is the Share Your Wares section, to which anyone can share whatever they want. So if you've got something that you want to share in there, you can share it. Oops, hold on a moment. It helps if I remember to share the screen. My error, my fault. I apologize for that. So gives you a bit of a rough idea. If you've got a live stream, you can share it in the live stream section. If you've got your own server, there's a place to which you can share your own server. All right, because I've noticed that some Discords do like to do that. So
Yep,
if you want to do that, go do that. So no doubt. Of course, there's like the general rules. I like to have people support their comic shops or comic stores, because so many comic stores go out of their way to make sure that we get great content. And I do my job to sort of like share from my RCS. We've got things relating to, say, maybe official art, like in relation to comics and media. Talk of manga, anime, new comic book day, or what's coming out there. Hey, if you've got a word or something that you might encourage something in the Discord, you can do that too. This is just to share some of the crazies that might be online.
Figures.
Including
This is why I started to drive me insane.
Then there's the urgent notices. Now, this is one area where I share a lot of things that are happening over here in Australia. But I also, so I also make sure to share content, even from stuff that might be from overseas. And if you've got anything to share in there, you share it there too. So It did originally start off with like urgent issues that might lead to problems with computer, to needing, or if I needed to go to the doctor for the day, okay, I'd be able to use it for that. But because of how fast things sort of changed worldwide, this changed with it too. Not so urgent notices. This is actually someone. This is the shtick. Actually, this is a channel that I should have chaired on the live stream, as they do also address some of the things that are happening in Australia. The shtick. Of course, he's interviewing someone else from the Jewish community by the name of David Selfwick.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, no
problems. Okay, we've got Michael Brent here.
Mm-hmm.
Are You My Hero?
I'm seeing that movie actually immediately. I'm seeing that movie actually this weekend.
Yep. I'm looking forward to the new movie coming out. In fact, I think it's coming out this week here in Australia.
Yeah, it's coming out this weekend in the US.
And hopefully, because of the crazy restrictions, I hope I'll be able to go, because at the moment, I would be considered a part of the group that doesn't quite trust a certain needle right now.
Yep.
And because it's experimental,
It's
and
also,
I don't think we should be guinea pigs.
It's also not what it's advertised as.
Yes. All right, I'll stop sharing that now. So that gives you a bit of an idea of what's in there. Of course, we cover the Super Sons, Portrait of Attitude, amongst other things. So it's really good. And Michael Brent, if you want to come into the Discord as well, you're welcome. That link is there for you to join as well if you want to check it out. The Demon Slayer video game, I have actually thought about getting it. I have thought about getting it, but I might maybe wait until its prices dropped a bit, which will probably drop before the end of the year. Can only hope. I've been presently playing some Ninja Gaiden. Also been checking out Origami 2.
Origami's a really fun game.
The first one I like. It's very testy, trials and difficult, and it's very interesting in the things that you can do in the game. The second one, I'm slowly getting into it.
I don't have the second one yet. I'm still. I only have the first one, but I enjoyed it a lot. Definitely liked what they're going for with that game.
I think they were planning on expanding on the lore of, say, the characters of the Origami. That's the impression I get from the second video game. So expanding on the lore in regards to the Origami characters, to which they play a role in sort of like bringing justice in times of injustice, but set in a certain time period in Japan, or some certain time periods in Japan. Check out Hyperdimensional Neptunia or Astral Chain.
Huh? Oh.
I
get going. I mean, can't wait.
No problems. I'm going to need to begin to end the live stream anyway. But thank you for turning up, Xavier.
Anytime, man.
And also you too, Casting the Shadows.
All right.
Maybe one time I might be able to drop into one of your live streams. I know I'm going to have to catch up with one of your live streams, Xavier.
Yeah.
But with the time difference between Australia and the US, what is it? I think the US
depending on where in Australia you are, you're either 15 or 16 hours ahead of me.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we come into tomorrow quite early compared to you, but who really cares about that?
Yep.
I mean, like right now it's 10:07 p.m. here, but like even in just in Israel it's 5:07 in the morning. So it's like that's already
Indeed, it is.
Yep.
And you think, that's only a 7-hour difference. That's a problem on its own. Imagine being in Australia; you're essentially a day ahead.
Yep.
Oh, hi, yesterday. How you going?
You want to know something really freaky? Go from Australia to Hawaii, because then you're time traveling. You're going backwards.
Well, and to think that Hawaii was also a part of Australia at one time. No joke. Because of Captain Cook discovering it.
Yep.
And,
anyway, I gotta go. See you guys.
Yeah, no problems. Take care, Tebby.
You too. Bye.
Bye. Well, it looks like Wes has decided to start a live stream of his own. So I definitely recommend you checking out his live stream. I will accept. Oh, that's a good question there, Cast. Where'd you put it?
I should tell you though, it is a little bit outdated because again, this is from May.
Yes,
but a lot of it is still very relevant.
Well, you could probably post it in the area of urgent, unless maybe I could put it under urgent medical, like create just a new channel and make it under urgent medical notices. There we go. I'll create it. There we go. And it's already done.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting read.
Yep.
I still have to digitize the booklet though. Well, I say it's a little booklet, but it's not that very little. I mean,
I remember you sharing it on your live stream. I think it had about, what was it, 50 pages, was it? Or
no, I
actually,
think 50 pages of it were just a VAERS report he printed and put in there.
Yeah.
And the VAERS report is essentially just like, if you were to physically print it, it's going to be like 50 pages of, different people's, adverse side effects to vaccines and stuff.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, Darius, it was Wes Moody webcast stream. Yeah.
So definitely check out his. He's got a live stream happening right now. He's playing a video game by the name of Metroid.
Yeah.
So
that reminds me, I need to get my Switch emulator so I can try out Metroid Dread, the new one that just dropped.
I've heard some people enjoy it so far. Others a bit mixed. That's just going by what I've heard, but I've never played the game itself. But I hope whoever is playing it is enjoying it. If there are things about the game that they don't enjoy, I hope they're free to speak about it without any complications, even from the creator. Check out Kid Icarus Uprising. Yes, you've mentioned that a number of times, Michael Brent. I think I've lost count. But I'm glad it's something that you are enjoying. I really do. And I think it's now time to finally push towards ending this live stream. Like I've said over the last 20 or 30 minutes. but we did get a bit of delay. But I'm not worried about it. Hey, at least it's a fun live stream.
Yeah, like we're ending it for real this time.
Very important topic that is important in this time period right now. Well, thank you for joining, Casting the Shadows.
Yeah, I'm sorry I arrived late.
No problems, no problems. According to my girlfriend, June Part 2 will be released only in theaters in October 2023. Well, you know what? I think that is good. At least they do allow a bit of time for the actors to get more comfortable in their role, which is going to be important. And by the time it goes up, their role could be 10 times better than what it was in the first movie. And maybe even more enjoyed than the first movie. Because sometimes you might have a sequel better than the first movie.
And that's actually often the case.
Yeah.
You know, number one's usually really good. Number two is better. And then number three kind of goes a little south.
Yes.
That's not always the case, though. You know, we have trilogies like The Matrix
sometimes
you know, where it's
exactly.
one is still the best and stuff like that.
Yep. Sometimes the first movie is way better than the sequels. Like, you might have someone that's Star Wars that likes the first movie but hates the sequels, including the prequels and the sequels, the Disney Soy Wars sequels.
I guess the original trilogy would be the pre-sequels, right? To make that Borderlands reference.
Yes.
The pre-sequel trilogy. Yeah, I mean, there are some movies that have had solid, that were solid throughout. Personally, I think Batman Begins was better than Dark Knight, but I don't think that. I should say I prefer Batman Begins over The Dark Knight. Now that doesn't mean that's it's better. I think it is, but it doesn't make the film itself better.
Yeah.
So I probably should refrain from saying that Batman Begins itself is better, but yeah.
Yeah, I did actually enjoy the first Christian Bale Batman Begins, and I liked how they introduced Ra's al Ghul. He is one character that I do also enjoy in the DC franchise, and I feel like he's like one of the better villains that Batman has, and he's one character that you don't see a lot of.
Well, I always like that because, like, when you do see him, it gives you that, oh crap, he's here. It gives him that because he's not this recurring, like this super recurring villain. He's a villain that when he shows up, something's going down.
Yes. Who is going to explore the multiverse the best? DC with the Flash movie, or Doctor Strange, or Spider-Man?
I mean, my opinion on the Spider-Man thing. The MCU Spider-Man is just simply not Spider-Man. Case closed. I'm going with DC just because the alternative is not any better. So.
I think DC, mainly if you look at their comic stories, I think they delivered a story better, more so than how Marvel handle it. Plus, by having different multiverses to which different outcomes happen, even allowing different choices of like who might be your Superman of that Earth.
I mean, right now I'm going to name
Superman of that Earth might actually be a robot instead of a human.
You name 5 Marvel multiverse stories. I'm going to name 5 DC. Red Sun, Crisis on the animated movie Crisis on Two Earths, where you have the crime syndicate, Injustice, freaking Crisis on Infinite Earths. Flash of Two Earths, the original.
Yeah.
you have DC's been doing this, the multiverse thing, for decades.
Like
it's part of it's part of the lore, like it's part of the mythos of DC.
Yeah,
the multiverse, like, and just regularly going to and from it, like that's part of it. Marvel, it wasn't until I would say the mid 2000s.
Yeah,
when I would say they were running out of ideas.
One thing I'd love to try to get a hold of, I'm not too sure if you've read them or not. It's the Amalgam. And
I was
DC
actually just talking to someone about that today.
Trades.
Yeah, Amalgam.
I
With,
would love
Dark
to
Claw.
get a hold of those stories to read through.
I wasn't a huge Amalgam guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I found it interesting and it was a cool concept, but I just wasn't a huge fan.
Yeah.
I don't know, just because the universes are so, like, yeah, they're both superheroes and stuff, but they're so different, and like, I just liked that they were different, and I liked that being separate, not together.
Yeah, it's literally a crossover if DC and Marvel were merged together into one, and they made up these different types of characters.
You had like these hybrid characters, so you had Batman and Wolverine, Dark Claw, Catwoman, and I think it was Elektra. So Cat's-Eye. You had who was it? Superboy and Spider-Man, I think it was, which I thought was really weird.
Yeah. Spider-Boy.
Yeah, it was Spider-Boy, yeah. I think it was obviously Cap and Superman. Or was it Thor? But they it's pretty much that sort of thing where it's like you take one Marvel character, one DC character that are similar, and mash them together into a new character. And everyone seems to like Dark Claw because he's really the only good one. Like, the only one that was well designed and well written. But
that would probably be the only story I'd probably read too. Because of how they might deliver the story in it. But yeah, I can understand like why that one became a bit of a popular character in the Amalgam universe.
Yeah, I mean, it does suffer from, at least in my opinion, it suffers from what all franchise crossovers suffer from. And with franchise crossover, like, DC and Marvel, or, something like if you were to cross over Terminator and Transformers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, all of these crossovers suffer from the same thing. And that is, it's spectacle for the sake of spectacle. There's no substance. And a lot of the time, it doesn't work. It's just to make a buck. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but when it does show a lot of the time, and it's just not good. Like, yeah, you'll have a crossover. It's so cool. They crossed over this and that, but it wasn't good. Like, it was okay. Like, it's not like we needed it type of thing,
About the only thing as well, I know we brought up Brian Michael Bendis earlier, but the only thing of Brian Michael Bendis that I've actually come to enjoy has actually been his Jinx World titles. Nothing more, nothing less. Anything outside of that, I don't really seem to enjoy that much, because I'm reading like some of his early stuff, and you can definitely feel in the characters that he loves this world that he's created. You can feel the passion behind the stories. Yeah, even though some stories do sort of drag a bit, you do need to take into mind, okay, these are his characters. This is his world. All right, this is neither Marvel or DC. Some of his stories can be quite good. Others do take a while to read through because they do drag a bit. But once you've finished like reading through it, you see like how things sort of like work beginning, middle, and end. I've come across maybe one or two Jinx World that I didn't enjoy. And that was mainly in his Powers run. But a fair amount of the Powers run is actually pretty good. Of what I've read and what I've reviewed is pretty good. but when it comes to reading his Marvel stuff, I did try reading his Miles Morales. I found it hard. I could only relate to a few characters that I really liked that sort of interacted with Miles Morales. Spider-Woman, I felt that she was actually a good character to interact with him. And I think there should have been more of her character.
They should have focused on her instead of Miles.
Yeah.
And this is Ultimate Spider-Woman, right?
Yeah.
Yes, this is the female clone of Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Still super weird. But yeah,
that I actually enjoyed. Like,
no, it works for that. That's the thing.
Then there was someone investigating the Morales family. That character caught my attention, and I really liked her. Of course, the female, but I don't really care. I liked it. And then there was the uncle that I also liked as well. They were the key characters that really stood out for me.
So the only Miles Morales stuff I've actually read was in 2015 when they brought back Peter Parker in the Ultimate Universe, just before destroying the Ultimate Universe and bringing Miles into the mainstream continuity.
Yes.
Which I think was because they're essentially like, hey, look, we're going to be doing our own Infinite Crisis on Infinite Earths like DC did in the 80s, except DC had to do it out of necessity because they had so many multiverse stories and characters and versions of characters that their storytelling got so convoluted and such a mess that they literally had to do a soft reboot just so that you have a clear-cut, simple continuity and linear story to follow, as opposed to, we have this Flash from Earth 2 and the main Flash from Earth 1 and blah, like they had to clean house. That's why they did Crisis on Infinite Earths. Marvel had a relatively clean house already because their multiverses weren't really crossing over in the way that DC does. Like you had the noir, dimension, and you had the Ultimate Dimension. You had your 1602 Marvel X and all sorts of variants of the same stuff, but they were alternate titles and they were self-contained. But then you just do this whole giant crossover thing and then just get rid of them all so it's all one continuity. You're just making a mess from, like, you're creating a problem that wasn't there.
Yeah. And then moving over to Bendis over at DC. I know myself, I did not like a lot of his stories. I ended up dropping his run for a while. And then I thought, you know what? I need a new category so I can show how bad this storytelling is. And all thanks to Brian Michael Bendis, thank you, I got the Fool's Gold category up on the channel. And sure enough, the views the Fool's Gold sometimes get is sometimes a little bit more than what my other videos get. All because with Fool's Gold, or the idea of how Fool's Gold works is, okay, this is going to involve a bit of currency conversion. So you'll get to see the currency conversion of how much I pay here in Australia. But on top of that, how much I believe the cover is worth, the art is worth, and also the story is worth. And out of it, we also get a bit of a winner. Like, who wins out of it? Is it the artist or is it the writer? Most of the time, it's the artist. And I mean it. Most of the time, it's the artist. Do I have a Fool's Gold going up this week or not? It might have already gone up. I'll give an example from one of my previous ones. All right, that one we can start it. Not it. Not it. just need one of them. There we go. Checkmate issue 3. For Checkmate issue 3, the cover got 6 out of 10. Right, so still including the 1 out of 10 rating. So we've got 6 out of 10 for the cover. How much do I believe it's worth? $1.25. For the art, including the internal art, 5 out of 10. I felt it slipped a bit. How much do I believe it's worth? $1.
How much do they charge?
How much did they charge for Checkmate? Now, going for the overall price here, I do have an update. Okay, $3.99 here in Australia converts to $7.95. That's shelf price, but because I get it for a standing order, it's $3.15, or in other words, $10, 10% off. So as well, so $7.15 plus 10% off. For the story, I gave it 4 out of 10. How much do I believe it's worth? 90 cents Australian. Overall total, $3.50. How'd it go at making that money back?
And the time.
Not very well.
I'd be more concerned with the time, because you can use that time to make more money.
Yeah,
You lost that time. You can never get that back. Money you can get back.
All right. Now, the things that it was missing, or the things that it had, which I thought was okay. It covered, well, actually, the time side of things could have been cleared up a little bit better, but it had the time to which it covered weeks ago, today, now, and of course, weeks ago again. So it revisited those things twice in the story. It did okay in location, but where it lacked overall, it did okay as well in giving us the cast, so letting the reader know who the cast is going to be interacting with, including Superman, Mark Shaw, Guardian, Talia, Green Arrow, and the list continues. Only thing it lacked was comic references. Like, because if there's something important that is coming over from a previous comic, even if it is a run that he's working on,
Right, like say, like old comics used to do this all the damn time. Say you have something like Amazing Spider-Man, and it'll reference something that happened in an issue of Spectacular Spider-Man. They'll say, see issue, 75 of Spectacular Spider-Man.
Yep, and I consider that important in the storytelling,
because it helps bridge the stories together. It adds continuity, and also there's a marketing tactic. It makes the reader want to get that other book so they can know more of the story.
Exactly. And the thing is, every time he doesn't put that comic reference in there, I guess Brian Michael Bendis doesn't want to earn more money. Hey, that's fine with me.
He's probably raking it in from. He's probably raking it in from Ultimate Spider-Man already. At this point, all of this is kind of just to feed his ego. I mean,
yes, but I'd prefer them to actually put it in there, because if he is actually going to have something that, say for example, links to his Justice League run, all right, you can include that link to the Justice League. Yeah, he is presently on Justice League right now and working on Checkmate, and he's also doing an upcoming Justice League versus Legion of Superheroes, which he also worked on.
Huh. So what, the Justice League going into the 30th century? Or
that's going to be another 6 issues that will be going through Fool's Gold. How wonderful. Thank you, Brian Michael Bendis.
So you're really going to have some guy on YouTube making a video of like all the books that you're going to need to get the full story of this story.
Yeah.
As opposed to just, looking in the book as you're reading it and go, oh, okay, I need to get this issue so that I know.
Yeah.
Like,
And here
as
I
opposed to
am.
just having it in the book itself, you now need to look at an external source to know what story and what issues to get.
Yep, and exactly. Here is a YouTuber showing the comics that you should be going back to just to get a little bit more information in regards to what's happening. I shouldn't have to do that. DC Comics should be doing this.
Right.
Hey, how about they pay me? Right, if I got to do that online, how about they pay me?
Actually, I should
It's
probably
like,
correct myself.
no,
Brian
you
Michael
have to pay
Bendis
me
is probably
very much.
not making money from Ultimate. Well, maybe from Miles Morales, but he's not making any from Ultimate Spider-Man as a whole because
Yeah.
Marvel, more so than DC even, but Marvel does like screwing over their creators.
Yeah. A number of people have disliked what he has done with the Superman family, myself included.
Me too. From what
Tevye,
I've
who was
heard.
in here before.
I've read I think something like Mafia something. I don't remember what it's called specifically. But you know what? I
Invisible
can
Mafia.
check.
The
What was it?
Invisible Mafia. It was called the Invisible Mafia.
Yes. I got it in a bargain bin,
It
and
was through
it's
Action
just
Comics.
like, oh, new Superman. Let's see what's going on with Superman because it's classic Superman now, not New 52, whatever. So
Yeah,
I
that
read
was
it.
his Action-
Regretted
that was
reading
his
it.
Action Comics.
It was not good.
That was through his Action Comics run, and then at the same time, he was also working on the Superman run. Not long after that came his Wonder Comics stuff, such as Naomi and also Young Justice, which he was working on. So it's quite a bit there. My goodness. But it is nice to sort of like cover Brian Michael Bendis in the Fool's Gold area. As funny as it is. But at least it gets the reader to know and even give their thoughts of how much, like, if they happen to comment on the channel, or if someone happens to comment on the channel on the Fool's Gold, I would have rated Brian Michael Bendis this, and this, and I would have made it worth this. Right? I'd love to see more of that interaction on the channel. I've had maybe a few people do it, but it's only been a few people. Like, I as much as I give my own view on it, it would also be nice to hear others on how they would rate Brian Michael Bendis' storytelling if it was under a Fool's Gold magnifying glass.
I mean, again, the only aside from the Ultimate Spider-Man, like old school Ultimate Spider-Man, I can't believe I have to say that now. You have the only things I've read were the return of Peter Parker in Ultimate Spider-Man, which like lasted 5 issues, and then they just killed off him and the rest of the universe again. And then one of the Superman stories that he was doing, which I didn't like. So he's 2 for 3, right? in bad writing. So he's 1 in 3.
Yeah,
would be his track record.
And this is why I think a lot of his strength actually lies in his indie storytelling, not so much his mainstream. One thing I did actually manage to suggest to him on one live stream that he was on, it was on Word Balloon's channel. I'm not too sure if you've ever been to it or gone to it or even seen it. I asked him why he hasn't like done any crossovers like with his characters with like Marvel, DC, or even indie, and I did hear that he did get some form of crossover in the Chip Zdarsky crossover, I think it is, or is it Donny Cates crossover run, which is for Image at the moment. And okay, that's nice. That's being put in there, and it's also good to have like a separate writer apart from Brian Michael Bendis doing it. But it would be nice to see some of his other characters interact with other worlds, to which his Jinx world could gain a little bit more attention over his mainstream work in DC or Marvel. He's got a new project coming out through Dark Horse, which is called Joy Operations. It's set in the future.
God, I hope that's something different than what it sounds like.
Yes, I hope it's not a cyber escort either. But by the looks of the cover, it's probably not. Spider-Man and Batman had a crossover comic. Yes, they did.
Yep.
So did
I have
Spider-Man and Superman.
I was gonna say I have Spider-Man versus Superman, the original. So that was actually a rare, like. By the way, when I said earlier, like, yeah, the franchise crossovers don't always work. There are a few rare exceptions. Spider-Man versus Superman was one of them, because it was self-contained. It wasn't like the whole universes. It was just the two characters in a self-contained, separate from their own normal universes. Another good franchise crossover was Batman and Predator. Probably one of my favorite franchise crossovers of all time. I have all of those too.
Not a comic I've read, but it's definitely something I'll have to check out.
Batman versus the Predator is versus Predator is a really good story, because you have Batman, the detective. He's solving all these mysteries in the city. They are being, conducted by a predator. It's pretty much like it's very much like Predator 2.
Yeah.
But with Batman, like, not just with Batman, but it has like Batman comic book elements in it. So it's a detective story meets Predator 2. And Predator 2 is a good film. It's not as good as the first one, but it's still a good film. So
that's the one, if I remember, had Danny Glover in it.
Yeah. And why am I blanking on his name? He plays Hudson in Aliens. God, I swear he's in every sci-fi 80s movie. Why am I blanking on his name? Paxton? Right? I think that's his last name. I think is Paxton.
We can always
Bill Paxton.
Bill Paxton. We have to.
he gets killed by a Terminator in the Terminator. He's killed by xenomorphs in Aliens, and he gets killed by the Predator in Predator 2.
How lovely! What's this? How about? What about Super Smash Brothers, Kingdom Hearts? You brought up Kingdom Hearts earlier, Michael Brent. All of those for a Disney crossover. Yeah.
I mean, probably a video game crossover.
We'll probably have a crossover with Super Smash Brothers.
Video game crossovers are a little different, though, because most of the types, like especially fighting games, because there's not that there's no story, but the story that is there really isn't much of a story, and no one really cares. They're playing it for the fighting games and the mechanics and the fact that, hell, look, I get to play, the newest what's face, Mortal Kombat. You've got RoboCop, Rambo, Terminator, Spawn are all in it, and then you got obviously your Joker, I think, is in it as well. In Mortal Kombat 10, Mortal Kombat X, you had Predator and Alien in it.
Yep.
Although I will admit, those two are perfect for Mortal Kombat.
Sure. It would be nice to see Spawn.
Spawn's actually pretty perfect for it too, and they actually got Keith David to reprise his role, which is awesome.
Any favorite DLC character that you've seen in a game?
Like in any game?
Any game,
I mean,
no matter how young or old it is.
I'm just trying to think, like, how many games that I've played had characters as DLCs. Just to limit it to fighting games, I'd probably say either the Predator in Mortal Kombat X or Spawn in Mortal Kombat 11.
I enjoyed the turtles in Injustice. That was actually quite funny. And even their super move that they did, they brought in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
That's right, and they brought in Hellboy.
Yep. Hellboy was actually an interesting character too to use.
I wasn't a huge fan of the character model for Hellboy. Like, it was good, but it could have been better.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't that it was a bad design, it was a disappointing design.
Yeah.
Jump Force. I've actually seen a really cool mod for Jump Force that has the Master Chief in it.
Cool. That is actually one game that I have played, got a review for, but it's going to be a while before that the video connected to that review will go up. But the review is ready to read right now on Rainbow Pressing Comics.
I've heard bad things about Jump Force, despite how good it looked originally.
I think the story idea was interesting, but its delivery, of course, did need a little bit of work. No doubt about that. It did need a little bit of work. Some things felt a little bit broken. Other things felt a little bit hard to pull off. I like the characters that you sort of like got to play through. Not only that, then there's playing against the big OP villains, and yeah, a number of them were a little bit OP. And in some cases, it can make the game annoying. Other cases, if you're really up for a challenge, I hope you're up for the challenge.
I mean, it is a fighting game, though, so...
Yeah.
Like, challenge is kind of guaranteed.
Yep. It was nice to play as Killua, Gon. Would have been nice to... there was also Yu Yu Hakusho, Yusuke from Yu Yu Hakusho. A couple of others, including from Bleach, Rurouni Kenshin. The list concludes. Dragon Ball was another. There were even some downloads that you could get of, I think one was All Might that you could play as. Of course, the My Hero Academia characters, to which there were very few of, and I mean very, very few
of. Well, they can make an entire game of all of them.
Yeah. Apparently, Shuro Todoroki is like one of the latest that you can download, but it requires like the next season pass for you to purchase. No thanks. Enjoy the game, but if you're gonna give me a season pass, let it cover all seasons, not just one. If I pay for a season pass, I want covered for all seasons, not one. Because I know you're trying to screw me over when you want me to pay for another one. And people are also over microtransactions. Something else I believe that
Let's be honest, anything above 90 cents is not micro.
Yes, including the crazy microtransactions in Ubisoft. But I know they're not the only one.
They monetize even their single player games. I think Odyssey had XP boosts and stuff in it. Like that's a single player, historical fantasy RPG, which is not what Assassin's Creed is, but the game itself, it was a historical fantasy RPG, and it had Again, it's not no online component that I'm aware of. It was open worlds, RPG mechanics and stuff, and then you have essentially a merch store in game for all sorts of stuff.
Yep. I liked one thing I did like what I ended up seeing on like one of the other YouTube channels covering Assassin's Creed, and also how far Assassin's Creed has fallen from when it first started. I think the first top games that they ever brought out would have to be from the first to where it ends would have to be the third. Even though the third did have some complications, it still had an okay story plot. By the time the fourth came into it, okay, we're no longer Desmond Miles. We got no idea who the hell we are in the modern day. Then we've got Unity, again, no idea who we are in the modern day. Rogue, no idea who we are in the modern day.
Yeah, it's
That's sort of where it.
Well, it started. I think it started to change. Like I think Assassin's Creed 4 was kind of the last real Assassin's Creed game where it felt like Assassin's Creed because the feel started to go away.
Yeah.
I actually enjoyed Unity. I actually really enjoyed Unity. I thought it had some good ideas.
Unity did have a
the
good
story. Sucked. Like the Animus story.
The story, but I didn't like the gameplay.
But yeah, the gameplay was really
the
fun.
graphics at the time.
And it still looks beautiful. And I know everyone was complaining about the bugs and glitches. I experienced like 3 in my playthrough, and I got it on I think like day 2 or day 1 of release. So like I got it at the time it came out and had no problems really. And I was playing on an Xbox One at the time, so.
Then there was Syndicate. I did have fun with the Burrows with Syndicate.
Syndicate, I only got it. I want to say I got it in 2018 for free. Yeah. And it was fine. I got bored. Like it was the first time in an Assassin's Creed game where I actually got bored of playing.
Yeah, it wasn't the strongest story, but I think the Burrows were the closest thing to what you'd see in Revelations.
I just didn't like the leveling up combat. It was starting to lean towards that RPG stuff, and
yeah. And that's understandable.
My personal favorite is definitely Revelations, though.
Revelations was fantastic.
That story.
Yeah. And him finally getting a bit of an end, or a bit of a happy ending, which was really nice.
I mean, it was literally it's technically the real Assassin's Creed 2, because it finally finishes Altair's story.
Yeah.
And
it finished Altair's story as well as Ezio's story. So it finished one,
especially if you watched that.
And that was fantastic.
That DLC movie, Assassin's Creed Revelations Embers, where you have that little like animation movie of Ezio and his final days.
Yes.
The only thing missing from that is, imagine if they played Ezio's family theme when he's sitting on that bench.
Yes. You remember the live action movie that they did in connection to it?
Unfortunately.
Assassin's Creed 2? For Assassin's Creed 2?
Wait, what? Wait, are we talking about the 2017 or 16, whatever that was?
It was connected to Assassin's Creed 2, and it was sort of centered before the events of like his father and that, and family being killed. And it was basically focusing on like his father as the assassin. So you got to see it from his side. And here he is following the Borgia and that, and like those connected to the Borgia. in the Templar, and not long after that, you sort of like go through, see the scene, and he's doing the best he can to remain anonymous and unseen and really stealth. And I think it only went for about, was it 15 minutes? I'd have to double check. It might have gone for half an hour. But I enjoyed the actors that they chose for it, because I think a lot of the actors too, they also used alongside of the game. And it was really well done. Then by the time you reach the actual game itself, right, you're no longer sort of like seeing things from this assassin's eyes. You're now being brought into Ezio's eyes, and you get to see the day practically when Ezio is born. And it is amazing.
I think the Ezio trilogy is definitely the strongest of Assassin's Creed.
Yes.
Like, those Assassin's
And
Creed is best.
It was great when he was like finding the discs as well.
Yeah, the keys, the Masyaf keys.
Yeah.
Also, no one ever talks about this in Revelations, but the bombs.
Yes.
I remember when I first played that, I instantly fell in love with the bombs, because I just loved making every single type of bomb I possibly could, and then just using them and making more just to use them again. There's no other purpose than to see what happens.
Ever. Best mechanic ever in the game. No doubt about it. Best mechanic ever.
Yeah, you can take some skunk blood and some, gunpowder, like sulfur, and put some gunpowder in there, put it into like a sticky pouch, and then bam, just throw it on my guard, it blows up, and he's covered in blood and smells like crap.
It was really good. Really, really good. I like the achievements you got for that as well. I think there were a number of achievements for it. Like,
a lot of achievements were tied to the bombs, the hook blade.
Yeah. Oh, how about that first mission you do with in Istanbul, Constantinople? What's his name again? It's not Talib. If I remember, Talib was the
the assassin, the head assassin in Istanbul.
Yeah,
Yusuf. Yusuf.
That's it. And in one of the first missions that you do there, that it gives you a bit of an option on how to sort of like get through without any problems. The times you go through that, the times you replay that mission just so you can get it right, oh, it is a pain. Like, it was a real pain. Like, if you were wanting to be like full perfectionist or completionist, it is like a difficult first mission. But even though it's optional for you to do that, you could still go through, stuff up, not get that thing, but still be able to complete the mission.
I've completed the game without upgrading at all, like once. So that's what I like about it. So you have the options in how you play it.
Yeah.
And it's a replayable game, and that's something that is probably the most. It's like the same thing with a movie. Like, replayability or rewatchability is very important in entertainment.
Another thing as well that I also enjoyed with Assassin's Creed, especially when it moved into 2 to Revelations, I think they had the best option in providing the way for you to upgrade your armor. Like, all it mainly took was saving money just so you could get better armor, but also in some essence still completing missions so that armor would be open and available for when you move into, say, the
You
next
didn't have
chapter.
everything available off the bat. You had to continue through the story in order to get more stuff open and available to you. Yeah,
exactly. And I thought that was great. That was absolutely great.
And
you don't see a lot of that now in the later.
In Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood.
Yeah, let's play the game like Diablo.
Yeah.
Fuck
Assassin's
off.
Creed 2 and Brotherhood also had you.
Not that there's anything wrong with Diablo.
No, it's just that Diablo is in Assassin's Creed, and Assassin's Creed isn't Diablo. They're different for reasons that make them different.
Yeah.
But in Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood, you start off with one hidden blade, and eventually the second one. Whereas nowadays, I don't think it is the case anymore, but obviously Black Flag and Rogue, you just had two right off the bat.
Yes. And that's sort of like made it a little bit too fast for it to happen.
It worked for those games, but it wouldn't have worked anywhere else. I'm glad. I actually liked that we went back to one on Hidden Blade in Unity.
They did have some interesting blade choices as well.
Unity, the Hidden Blade was, and you couldn't really replace that, but
just throughout the main game franchise itself, some interesting blade choices.
Yeah, Unity had a very large options menu of different swords and melee weapons and guns to use.
Well, being quite a live stream, I didn't expect it to go this long. Now, how long ago did I say we were going to end it? Well, we got caught up talking about something that we enjoy, so who can complain? Hey, we need things that we enjoy as well, so...
I need to replay Assassin's Creed. It's been years.
I was actually thinking of maybe going back to it myself. Just get up a new file, play it.
Yeah, exactly. Just start from the beginning again.
Yeah.
It's been
or even go back to the Ezio trilogy. Start off with a new file on each of them. Let's go back and enjoy this game. I miss trying to find the secrets. I miss exploring the areas. And none of this having to use a friggin' eagle or whatever.
Right, or old school Eagle Vision.
Yeah. Eagle Vision, that was great.
Well, I always liked how it was done originally, where it made everything essentially blacked out except for the items of interest.
Yes.
So it wasn't just like you can use this while you're doing all these other things. Like, no, you still have to be in regular vision in order to navigate the world. But you use the Eagle Vision when you're kind of perched up on a perch point or somewhere, a vantage point, to kind of, I can gauge my surroundings. I know where to go. And then you go back to normal vision and navigate.
Yep.
It was a good balance. They also took you out of Eagle Vision when you started running.
Yes.
Which they don't do anymore.
Yeah, these days it's sort of like, drop, fall, roly-poly. Oh, look,
they also took the puzzles out of the parkour. Like, all the climbing segments were always puzzles.
Yes.
That's, like, as much as I enjoyed Unity, I think was the first game to get rid of the puzzle solving with their climbing. Where they tried to make it more fluid and you can just, like, jump down from everywhere.
Yeah, that was one of the good things about the climbing. That you did have to sort of make sure you took the right step, or else you'd end up reaching an area where you might not be able to get through or climb up.
At least in the Ezio trilogy, you had the freaking parachute, but when you tried that in, like, Black Flag, you just fell to your death, or you were lucky that there was water there.
Yes.
I can't tell you how many times the first time I played Assassin's Creed, and like, oh crap, I didn't mean to jump, and then you just desynchronized.
Yep, that's all it took. Just one accidental hit of a button. Oh, shite! No. Too late. You are
Well, here's a
desynchronized.
helpful thing. The character's body motion will actually, like, it changes depending on which direction the thumbstick is in, so that you can see where the character is pretty much just looking where he's going to jump, and you use that as a visual indicator on where you're going to jump. Of course, I learned this like after several deaths, but at least I learned it.
One thing I sort of liked as well in the original trilogy, sometimes you get your notoriety up.
Oh yeah, where like you start killing a bunch of people, and they're like, "Hey, someone's killing all of us."
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, just by killing the innocent, by some sort of glitch within the game, it brought you back to zero again. Best game glitch ever. The times I had to use it just to even try to get through a mission. Not fun, but at least it was AI. At least it was AI.
Yeah. I remember when
I'd rather be that than a real person.
Sorry, I remember when Assassin's Creed Revelations kind of first came out, and there were a lot of people complaining, "Oh, the open world isn't that big, as big or whatever as Rome and Brotherhood." And yes, but it was a lot more condensed, and there was a lot more stuff to do in it.
Yes, and it was also fun meeting the prince as well as I think it was Maria. No, she was from the first one, wasn't she?
Oh,
no,
yes,
Maria is. Oh, sorry, yeah, I'm thinking of. It's not Maria. I'm thinking of.
It also just shows you how mad of a powerhouse Altair was.
Yes.
Because like after Assassin's Creed 1, all you hear about him is like how he was a legend.
Yes.
And you kind of experienced that in Assassin's Creed 1, but not in the way that everyone, in the modern day and even in Ezio's time, like describe him. It's like, okay, we're clearly missing pieces, but Revelations filled in those pieces, and we're like, oh wow,
yes, it did.
This dude literally knew the future. He had a gun in the 12th century.
And it was goodbye. The
boss.
head of the.
He literally shoots a boss in the 12th century. It's like, I learned many things of the past and the future. Here, let me show you.
He tried to offer him peace so many times.
Oh yeah,
and each time he turned it down.
No, he was a total dick.
Yes, he was. My goodness. Oh, even saving his bloody butt from the apple as well.
He saved him. He saved him twice.
Yeah.
And that still wasn't enough. It wasn't until he killed him that he's like, "Oh, I made a mistake. Well, hopefully there's a life after this, so that I can learn the answers for myself." Okay, bye.
Yeah. Talk about plot convenience.
I mean, he also very much just completely destroyed the Brotherhood, and Altair killed it at such an old age too, because remember in that level or in that memory. We learned that some of the assassins there spilled innocent blood, which is a big no-no.
Yes, which is something that was against the creed.
Which is why you got to kill some of them.
Yes. Oh, what was it? When Robert the Sales, I think it was, when you met him out on the field. That was actually interesting. When he was sent to assassinate him, and how things change in that moment when he ends up going up against one of the Templars, and he went pretty big wake up call of sorts in the story.
I know a lot of people complain about the whole Desmond and how like the story and it's not great, but it's better than what we got, or it's better than what we're getting. And it could, like, it could have been better, but it could have been a hell of a lot worse too.
I think they could have brought across Layla Hassan way better. I did not like her introductory sort of like.
It wasn't that it was a bad. It felt too try hard in Assassin's Creed Origins. It just felt too try hard. I can't really explain it more than that.
Like, one way that they could have brought it across is if they were wanting to bring this character in, why didn't you like mention it in, say, one of the previous
because they didn't think of the character then.
Creed stories where they're addressed by name, so you know, so this modern day character that we're playing as is said person. We don't know what they look like, so by the time they do reach Layla Hassan being
we learned. We've been playing this character since
it would come off. Yeah, it would come off way better.
Yeah, that would have been nice. Like if you tie it, like, this is the same character as in Assassin's Creed 4, except it's implied that in Rogue, the same character from Assassin's Creed 4, the employee, becomes a Templar. So
yes,
but hey, no, they could have still done it because I mean, when you meet Layla in Origins, she's still working for Abstergo and heading this new Animus thing where they're actually at the location. So
yep.
Like they could easily have it be like, she's a Templar, but obviously a low level Templar, and she's doing stuff for the Templars with the Animus, trying to figure out where other pieces of Eden are, and they're at the location where they suspect one is, and then she obviously experiences the memories of assassins and goes, "Hey, maybe I'm with the wrong team here."
Mm-hmm. Exactly, and I think that would have brought across her character to be more accepted as well with those who enjoy the Assassin's Creed franchise.
But it'd also be a nice kind of reverse of what they did with Rogue too. Rogue, you have the opposite, where you have an assassin turned Templar. Here, you're having a Templar turned assassin. And again, like so like you're literally your introduction to this character, like as a character and not just an empty husk for the player, would be a story of growth and kind of they're opening their eyes, waking up.
Yep, and it would work more better with like in delivering us the character of Layla Hassan in that, and that is definitely one thing that Ubisoft really failed in.
Yeah.
Especially when they brought in Origins. I like some of the ideas that they had in Origins, but I still don't like the story.
No, I wasn't a huge fan of... Like, Ubisoft's probably one of the biggest perpetrators of this. And that is, they remove features from, like, that were in previous titles and then add them back in like 2 sequels later and then call it a new innovative gameplay. Like Origins removed a crap ton of the stealth gameplay, like blending into crowds and and sitting on benches to blend in. Like I think it's still not in the game. And it's like, why? Like you're literally removing gameplay aspects that made Assassin's Creed.
Exactly.
It was literally part of the Creed, hide in plain sight.
They totally changed the lore.
Yeah, and then also the fact that the newer games are pretty much just Ubisoft trying to market off of The Witcher 3's success by making a third-person historical fantasy RPG, except without creating a new IP because that takes risks. Whereas just slap the Assassin's Creed label on it, it has brand recognition, people instantly recognize it, and just ship it that way.
that plus also recent talks of Assassin's Creed Infinities.
Yeah, the live service one, the one
Yeah.
where people are calling it Ask Greed.
Yes.
I like that. Ask
I'm not
Greed.
even interested in picking
Or
up
Ass's Greed.
Yes.
Acid Greed.
Not even interested in it.
But did you
It
hear
sounds
the
bad
reasoning?
from the beginning.
Did you hear the reasoning for it? Like why they're making Assassin's Creed Infinity?
No.
It's essentially we're tired and lazy and we don't want to make a new game, so we're just going to make this one new game that we can just add little bits to every year, as opposed to having to make a new game all the time.
Wow.
Because that takes too much effort. It's literally just laziness. It's minimum effort for maximum profit.
Lazy indeed.
It's super unfortunate, but
there are some creators that should have stayed on board with it, or should have stayed on board.
Well, I think some of those creators,
in regards to, or some, I think were pushed out because they wouldn't listen to some of their ideas, which would help advance, say, for example, Desmond Miles. Which his character would have somewhat gained some supernatural type powers to which, or at least access to things that could do supernatural abilities, because of like the pieces of Eden,
right, and their exposure and what
that would have been interesting to see actually. But we never got to see it.
I don't know. I doubt we're ever going to get a good Assassin's Creed. Also, we got Ubisoft under a lot of like sexual harassment stuff going. Like they've been, what's going on with Blizzard right now was going on, or is still going on, but was initially reported with Ubisoft last year. So, and I think a lot of the Assassin's Creed guys were involved in that, which again is unfortunate.
It is.
For everyone, except for the people that were the cause of those problems. Those people suck.
Yeah.
Because they were doing nasty things to people. Because I had to explain the reasoning.
Well, how about we work on ending the stream and
we
can always talk in the audio chat in Discord anyway. So,
yeah.
So big thanks to everyone who made it. Of course, the Discord's there. I've got a comment I need to fix up for the video or the live stream after this is done. So people have access to the additional links to where they can go for other choices for Australian media. And big thank you to everyone who happened to made it and who's still around. My Hero Academia movie is now streaming. Yes, and I'm guessing many people will enjoy it probably as much as what they did with Mugen Train with Demon Slayer when it came out. Until then, we'll see you next time. And would you like to shout out your channel, Cast in the Shadows?
Yeah, sure. So for anyone who doesn't know, I'm Mando Merck, the creator and owner of Cast in the Shadows. I have two channels. Obviously, Mando Merck, where I do all my gaming stuff, just like gameplay, mod showcases. I'm starting to get back into doing mods, which is what I love. And Cast in the Shadows is my podcast channel. I'm working on a few videos, like analytical videos and reviews. So hopefully I can get those out sometime within like the next 2 years because they're very slow processes.
And he plays a bit of a mean Halo stream too.
Actually, I'm currently working on a mod playthrough of Halo. It's a modded Halo 3 campaign. So
that sounds
I'm recording footage for that, and I'm going to release it in parts, like per mission. It's technically two mods. It's a sound mod So it like gives new sounds to the weapons, and it's a campaign mod that adds new, and I say new enemies in air quotes. It swaps out some of the brutes for elites, so that you get to kill elites in Halo 3. And what's great is that even in single player, Arbiter's still next to you, so you get Arbiter just like going completely, angry demon slayer on all the freaking elites. And you still have elite allies in some cases too. So it's pretty much Halo 2 all over again. You have the heretic mission in Halo 2 where you're just where your enemies and allies look the same. Just kill everything that moves.
All right, so go check out Casting the Shadows YouTube channels, and we'll see you next time.